hello, and welcome to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. I am your host, Felicia Lockhart, and today we do have Jay Prince for president and his entire chat joining us. We're going to look at a lot of things today. We're going to recap a couple of things that we've already talked about, maybe even play a couple of the videos that we have published this week, just to get ourselves apprised on exactly what's going on in the world around us. Here's the skinny. There have been a lot of things that have gone on, so much stuff that's hit at one time that it makes it a little difficult to hone in on any particular topic. Now, here's the question, and you can let me know what you think about it. Do you think that's done on purpose to prevent you from focusing on any one thing? Or do you think that everything that you see right now is legitimate? We'll get into it today on this podcast on this wonderful Sunday afternoon here, Central Time. It is 2:30, well, 2:28 if you want to be, technical about it. The 13th of July. For those triskaidekaphobians out there who are a little shy of the number 13, welcome to today, baby. Because it's coming and it's here no matter what you do. I was on Jay Prince's show about a few weeks ago, and I clearly remember somebody challenging me and my public decision not to vote. Oh my gosh, they were clutching their invisible pearls. And it's so funny to me because I really honestly want to say something today. I'm going to give you guys this little small tidbit of why it is that I don't. And if the circus or the bread and circus that we're looking at right now in the public's eye is not enough to convince you that maybe I was right, baby, I don't know what was. I really don't. So I am very happy to be joined with Jay Prince today. We are again in podcast form. So what we would like for you to do is to please, if you've got to chime in, please do so. We encourage it. You can go right here into the chat. You can send us a regular comment. You can do a super chat if you want to support either channel. If you're coming in on either channel, you'd be able to obviously delineate between which channel you'd be, supporting. It doesn't matter. It's all a part of the same party. But we are going to have some really good grown folk conversations today. Really good, really, well maintained, not, too far off the rails, but we're going to really get down to the good part. So I am going to start, unless Jay Prince, if you want to start, but I maybe I'll wait and say what I have to say, because I would like for more folks to possibly hear my opinion on voting and not voting, because the individual who challenged me just recently, while I was visiting on that podcast, did make some very valid points. Okay. They really, honestly had,
points about
one of the gals that came onto your channel a couple of weeks ago challenged me, and she made some very valid points as it related to, voting and why I didn't vote. And, I personally said, like I said to all the people who a few years ago hit me in the comments and then flooded my inbox with my email saying, hey, you know what? You've got a presence and you really shouldn't say what, that you're not going to vote, because people died to let you vote, and people really are going to, you can sway their, idea about voting. And, I personally, I am not moved either way, whether you do it or you don't do it. So guess what? I've got a small little, spiel. I've got a small little spiel that I put together. You want to hear it? I got it. Man. First of all, I want to say hello to all of my awesome folks that visit us here at the Lockhart Perspective, and I should say Headlines with a Voice. Thank you all for joining us to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. Again, we do have our host, our guest today, Jay Prince. He is the provocateur. Down, boy, down.
Oh, yeah.
He is the provocateur. I want to thank you, Dovetail 55, for sponsoring our show today with that exceptional $9.99, baby. Thank you for the 10, baby. Thank you for the 10, baby.
Dovetail 55.
Yes, Dovetail 55, baby. Thank you for supporting us. That reminds me, your your stuff has reminded me I need to put my stuff here on Do Not Disturb. Oh, it is. All right. So I'm going to get right down to the good part. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Why, Felicia? Why would you ever get out there and tell people that you don't vote? What is the problem? And you know what? Here's the deal. I'm going to be myself going forward because, here's the problem. A lot of times people look at you, they expect you to be one way, and you try to be as professional. You do your professional answering the phone voice. You know what I mean? You do your professional answering, going to the school voice. But me, I'm 61 in September, baby. And right now, all gloves are off. Don't have to be disrespectful, but I'm definitely going to give you guys my full on attention and full commentary. And I'm going to let you know exactly where I stand. So now that you know that I've made the decision, it is a firm decision. I am not voting anymore. And no, that does not mean that I don't care. It means I care enough to stop participating in a game that I know is rigged, a game where the rules change and the scoreboard is fake. And the winner has already been chosen before we ever stepped onto the field. These are my feelings. Now, I already know that some folks are going to say, people died so that you could vote. And maybe they did and maybe they didn't. But let's not reduce their struggle to one checkbox on a ballot. Now, I know our ancestors did die for dignity and for freedom, for the right to live, not to be a pawn or any pawns in a political circus that keeps spinning the same lies every 4 years. So voting may be a right, but it's also a choice. And I choose not to keep co-signing foolishness with my participation. See how that works? Do you see the way I look at it? You see how I look at it? So let's go ahead and I'll finish up this commentary. And as soon as I do, I really want to hear what you got to say. So, I fixed it for you folks. Basically, those who feel like, gee whiz, she's wrong. These political parties, I said it before and I'll say it again, they are one bird with two wings, or better yet, they're one coin with two sides, a heads and a tails. But baby, no matter which way it lands, the same head just flip that coin. The same hand flip the coin. The same system is holding the bird, and the system stays in control. So I remember back way many years ago, the first time that I voted, I was 18. I was bright-eyed. I was hopeful, believing that my voice did matter. This is me personally. And I kept voting. And I did my so-called civic duty. But then I started to notice something with my own eyes and with my own ears. Promises made during the campaign. Poof, gone the moment that hand slapped that Bible. Suddenly, it was a whole new story, whole different priorities, theatrics, political puppetry. Meanwhile, we're out here arguing over the crumbs and illusions, and it never changes. If you all can tell me a time that it's changed based on your vote, then you know what? I may give you some consideration. But don't even get me started on the Electoral College. That alone tells me that popular vote ain't so popular after all. The will of the people can be tossed out like yesterday's mail, like yesterday's news, like that side piece that got you caught tricking. And so I ask you again, what's the point? But what really blows my mind is when people, our own people, say Black folks, so-called Black folks, they all start guilt tripping you. And they say, you have to vote. If you don't vote, you're a part of the problem, really? Because I say, I'm not falling for the okie doke. Now, all of a sudden, I'm the enemy? Let me tell you something. I see the game. And I'm done pretending. I don't. I'm not going to be bullied, manipulated, or guilted into participating into something that does not serve me or my community. I know what I see. And I know what I hear, and I know what I feel. And what I feel is this: I don't know this system anything. And I sure as hell don't owe it my vote. I am Felicia Lockhart. That's the Lockhart perspective on that one, baby. So what you got to say, folks down there in the chat? Do you understand me? Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. So just to get it out there and to make sure that it's clear, because it was on your podcast, Jay Prince, that I was challenged. And I really didn't get a chance to lay it down there where the cows can get it, as one of my mods' father used to say, Black Spring without them. Okay, I put it down there where the cows can get it. So now anybody can also get it. How about that? Hey, baby. I'm back.
But you know what, Miss Lockhart? I'm in agreement with you, though. I don't believe voting. I'm looking at your profile, not your profile, your thumbnail said never strive for someone else's vision and leave yours incomplete. That's why I feel like Black people collectively
copywrote that back in 2005. Yep, that's it.
And that's what Black people are doing collectively, right? And so voting for somebody else's vision that you never even benefit from neither side. I mean, we say that type of stuff. Oh, you have to vote. You have to vote. Oh, shoot. That's because we was trained to do that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of stuff that we trying to steer away from, like when we talk about relationships, we no longer operating like from the past, our ancestors. I think a lot of this stuff, as far as like in the political stuff, we should throw away as well.
Throw it in the garbage. Throw it on the garbage. The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. Put it in the trash can.
Regardless, if they want, whatever they want to do, they're going to do to us regardless.
Well, as a whole, and see, here's the problem that I have with the whole thing. If it were not political puppetry, then they would not use blackface every 4 years. They use blackface every single 4 years. It's always an issue within the Black community. If you say anything, then you are against Black people. If you don't understand that we're pushing this for the Black folks, this is the only time they give two hoots about the quote unquote Black people. Again, you guys already know that I'm not Black, because to me, I already told you, Black is the absence of color. I prefer to be called who I am, and that is Cherokee and Creek woman with a little bit of Choctaw on the side. So for me, I am, listening to everything that's being said. And that's the one thing that I don't think people get. If you are listening and you are quiet and watching, then you see the charade that is this game. It is bread and circus. It is the whole world is a stage. And it's not just that way for us, but what they do with us is they use our face to browbeat other ethnicities into seeing things their way, because, well, hey, you know what? If you say anything about this, you are an ist, racist, misogynist, homophobist, whatever. They ished you to death. And so what happens is good people who would definitely stand up when they see stuff that's wrong, that goes completely against, the rights of the people, then they sit back in their chair and they say, well, gee, I don't want anybody to think this of me, so I just won't get involved, and I'll go ahead and vote whichever direction I'm supposed to. Again, as long as you've got the electoral college in the party, how can you at the same time come to me and tell me, hey, you need to vote because people died? Maybe they did and maybe they did not. But even if they did or didn't, I still have the freedom to choose which direction I choose to go. And I just choose not to have anything to do with it. Again, I want to thank our sponsor today, Dovetail 55, for that wonderful blessing. And love to see you back regularly. Baby, I'm back, and I hope everybody can take it. I hope they can take it because, I'm going to be me. And we're paring some things down here by the 20th. Everything is going to be paired so you can see your girl a whole lot more. You'll be able to see me in the mornings. You'll get tired of me. I'll be posting more and a whole lot of other stuff. Why? Because we are shutting every other channel down, and we will just be on one channel for the Lockhart Radio Group. And this is a good thing. It's a good thing because now we can just focus on building each other up. Oh, as a matter of fact, on the Headlines with a Voice channel, if you would like to become a member, there are several members-only videos that you will not see on this channel unless you are a member. There are a lot of things that help you get acquainted with me, the hostess. And so there's several videos that you can see. It's only $3, $2.99 for the membership on Headlines with a Voice. And so what we're asking everyone to do And since we are shifting everything, is to go on ahead and join over here for Headlines with a Voice. If you are a member on the Lockhart Perspective, we are dropping the word "the" from the title. And if you go to the main page here on Headlines with a Voice, you'll see exactly what I mean. It'll show Lockhart Perspective. Why? Because we're going to consolidate everything so you can see your sister girl a whole lot more, baby. So, I'd love to see you all join us. $3 a month. You're going to get some emojis. You're going to get some, you're going to get some members only stuff. Again, boatloads of videos over there right now. Another thing that I'd like to extend to each and every one of you guys is the opportunity to participate in our community chat. It is for you. YouTube has done an exceptional thing, and they've created what's called a community chat. You can post pictures. You can post links. You can make a comment that everybody here on Headlines with a Voice or Lockhart Perspective can chime in on. It's not just a monologue. It's not just me chatting. It's us. So make sure that if you are subscribed to the Headlines with a Voice channel or Lockhart Perspective, that you go ahead and you look for that where it says community. It says community. Click community. Put your comments. Let me know exactly what your thoughts are on whatever the topic, and we'll all chime in and support one another. So, Jay Prince, I'm glad I got a chance to put my monologue out there first. But what say you, kind sir? I understand you have something that you'd like to share with us today as well. What's up, Doc?
Well, I've been up. Dang, I can't barely speak. I've been up under a big woman and not knowing what's going on in life right now. However, is we just doing a monologue right now, or are we just going right to the topics?
Well, you can go right into the topics. You see, I felt it necessary to do my little spiel, my little commentary, only because the last time your folks saw me on your actual platform, I was being told, hey, you know what? You should vote. So I thought, let's get some housekeeping out of the way immediately, and let's just go forward. So that's the reason why I had to share that with you all. But you're welcome to take over and share with me what you'd like, and let's go.
Okay, so speaking of that lady that you was on my show with the other day, and y'all was talking about politics. Now, I was on her show yesterday, and I Googled everything because you know me, I'm the type of guy that I like to question everything before I just believe something. And we got to start talking about scientists, DNAs, and ancestry tests and stuff like that. So, from the white man's, I Googled from the white man's perspective, which is Google. That's his information. That's his point of view. That's his story of what he believed that's true, right? That's everything that we learn. It comes from one side of the story, and that's another thing I got a problem with because it seems like us people here in America, especially African Americans, we only got one side of the story. We never got the other people's sides, like when they tell us about slaves sold us and Africans this and other countries, other races this and that. We never got their side of the story from their mouth. Every time we see anything about Africa and you got somebody like having voiceover, it's always Eurocentric that's describing what's going on. We never hear it directly from them. So when you think about books, when you think about scientists, when you think about uh, books, scientists, and everything that we have learned, we only got it from their perspective. That don't necessarily mean that it's evidence. Even when we talk about a religion, we got everything from one side. We never got the chance to get the full picture to develop evidence for our own selves. So we've been going around taking stats and science and believing that that's the fact, right? So when I was going to Google yesterday, and I didn't even know that it was going to say what it said yesterday, it kind of confirmed my doubt, right? They said scientists is never fully accurate, right? It's also said that ancestry test was it's not accurate, and it's also biased. It's also Eurocentric perspectives, and so everything that I was saying yesterday to dispute a lot of those people that uses science and facts and stuff like that. Then we end up Googling the people who created DNA, allegedly. Because I do believe we had DNA tests and all this other scientific stuff way before we had the Euro influence, right? Thousands of years ago. I believe that they mimicked them. And so when we Google the people who created the ancestry test, the DNA test, those are Eurocentric people who also were biased. And when I got the chance to learn their character, one of them was a liar. I forgot his name, James Watson. We found out he was a liar, right? Because now what I do when people cite their source, about science and stuff like that, I ask them, okay, tell me something about that scientist. I want to know something about him. I want to know his character. I want to know where he used to live, what woman he was with. Have he ever been in prison? Have he ever had slaves? I want to check the character before I just swallow every information that he put in the book and it's get relayed and it get passed down to me. And come to find out, a lot of these people were liars. So, and the reason why I do that, because if I come and share a story and I got a messed up character, let's say I was a liar or a thief, nobody won't believe me. Nobody won't believe that if I was a science would believe my science. Nobody wouldn't believe that at all. So why do we do that? Why do we give these people all of the grace in the world? What you think about that, Ms. Lockhart?
Here's what I want to say about Europe. All right. And I know that people in the chat will possibly, tilt their head a little bit, but I do want them, as you just did yesterday, to go on ahead and look this up, because to me, I think everybody and their mama has been affected by Rome. And whenever you hear me reference Rome, I'm specifically talking about Europe. Why? Because even though the Roman Empire fell, it has been systematically attempting a rebuild over the past few centuries. And so that's I agree with you, but I do know that as far as James Watson, let me piggyback on that first and answer that piece. James Watson, even though he never said that he was a eugenicist, he did echo those sentiments throughout the years that he was, working. And you'll find that a lot of people who have done some research, especially early research, but this was in the 50s, right? Early research dealing with DNA and things of that nature, a lot of those individuals do or did have a reason for digging into it. They really did. They had a real reason. And it was to figure out how things tick and why things tick the way they do. So when you think of people like him, when you think of people like Margaret Sanger, when you think of people like, Houghton Mifflin, those two groups, Houghton or Mifflin, or when you think of anybody that's, worth, mentioning or worth mention from back in the day, these individuals are individuals who definitely were interested in controlling the masses, i.e. Rome. Here's the thing. A lot of people may already know this, but there's a lot of people who don't. And the people who don't are really the ones who are, at risk. Those individuals who don't know that when, Mr. Columbo came across the water, a lot of people believe that he was just, haphazardly looking for Asia. He was just out looking for Asia. And then when he got into the Bahamas, what did he see? He saw a group of individuals that were already there, and he thought that, hey, because, and they were able, obviously, to conquer them, the Bahamians that were there. They have different names, of course, the Tainos and whatnot, but that's a history story for a different day. But those individuals, they were able to, with disease and with conquest and all this other stuff with Spain, which is what they, claimed it for, they were able to take over. And so when they came to this portion of the Americas, they thought it was going to be an easier fight. So what they've got to do, and what was, necessary for them to do, was to figure out how things tick. And any good scientist, no matter what they're in, whether it's biochemistry, or whether we're talking about, scientists that deal with, meteorology, whatever it is, you've got to disembowel that thing and break it down and figure out why it moves the way it moves. And so when I think of things like that, that's exactly where my mind goes. I'm not shocked at all. But what I do want to point out is something of grave importance, and that is that Rome is an important piece, but not everybody is Rome. See, Rome don't like nobody that ain't them. And if they cannot convert you to believe their ways, how good or bad they are, there's going to be a problem. So everywhere you look where there has been this whole thing of bringing in different belief systems, religious systems, cultures, certain ways to look at what creates, dignity. How do you become dignified? What denotes dignification? These things all came from one group that attempted to control, because if they can get any group to assimilate to their ways, their mindset, their belief systems, their religions, and make everybody else's bad, then the sad part is the individuals who have stand out controversy. And I say stand out, like, for example, the Native Indian, the American Indian. There's some controversies there that stand out. When you look at the Bahamas, when you look at where he went first, Columbus went first, there are some standout things. So the standouts are generally going to be people with some melanin in them. Whether you're in Australia, no matter where you are, those individuals unfortunately take the center stage. But guess what? If you remember who the enemy in this, trilogy is, then you'll know that it's not just those with melanin. It's the Irish, it's the this one, it's the that one, it's all of these groups of individuals. Why? Because it's mass domination. You know what I mean? It's world domination. It's pinky in the brain ad nauseum. It's pinky in the brain to the 10th power. So even though we see this, we have to understand that that group is here to control everything. And so that's what I'd have to say to that. I hope I answered you.
Yeah. See, and this is going to offend a lot of people.
Well, don't offend anybody if it means that, we're going to get a hit, because I'm not taking no hit.
No.
Because I got to be here, baby. I got bills to pay.
I've been getting a lot of pushback because I say, based on the information that African Americans have received throughout the time they've been here, and who presented them with information and knowledge and education, when you had to check their credibility and the sources of this education that we was taught and programmed, indoctrinated with, it's sad to say that Black people in America is what we call illiterate, right? And the reason why I say we are illiterate and we cannot compete with the Eurocentric people, is because they are the ones that control everything that we know.
Well, it's a few people that are Eurocentric that can't be competed with if you're looking at it in that place. And I need you to remember there's only one antagonist in the story. And if you keep your eye on that one antagonist, you'll understand that there's a whole lot of people that have been, that are succumbing to that. Listen, every person who went to compulsory, education, through compulsory education here in the United States, those individuals, all that went through regular systems, were all being taught the same stuff at the same time, which is the reason why my point is very valid, because it's not just us. Now, we can speak for what affects us. I can speak from a, Native, American Indian standpoint, because that's who I am. I can speak from my standpoint. But then guess what? I've also got some friends who have experienced the exact same thing. They may not be, from my mama, from my daddy, you know what I'm saying? They may not be, but they still have the same problem. That's the reason why I'd like to focus on who is the one who is the antagonist, who is the one that's the antagonator, who is running around bugging everybody. You know what I mean? Who is it that's trying to make everybody see things their way? Who is it that is everything to all people and becomes all people for all reasons?
And
You see what I mean? So once you start answering that, you've got to understand that it's not just about, about us. We can speak to our piece. But when you start to broaden your horizon and when you start to really see, hey, that is Pinky, that is the brain, then there is one set of folks. We're not going to say the names here because, again, we got bills to pay. But we do know that there is one set of individuals that do what they do. And when they do what they do, you really have to understand that it's a party that you don't even belong in. There are conversations that you do not belong in. There are things that you don't get involved in. Why? Because you really are not a part of it. Listen, with what you're bringing up as it relates to like DNA and things like that, I was telling people from the rafters, don't go down there and let them people have your DNA. Don't go down there and let nobody, you know who your mom and them is. You know who your daddy and them is. You ain't got to find somebody across the water. And it's your daddy's side that they're pulling. So really, how much information and knowledge, if you've got any real good sense, are you going to be able to glean from those tests when we all know, or should, that the mitochondrial DNA follows the female? And that is the way you know your people, because that is the only thing that's got that true marker, hence mitochondrial Eve. Okay? So
I disagree with that.
Well, you can disagree with it, but one thing is for sure. The mitochondrial DNA is in the female. It is not in the male. You can only verify paternity from the DNA from a male. But as far as lineage is concerned, which is the reason why they needed to ask you the question, what is a woman? All that time was because mitochondrial DNA is in the woman, period. Go ahead.
So this is why I disagree.
What part do you disagree with?
That if you want to check your history, you got to go through the woman. Because you loses your history when you go through the woman. Because 9 times out of 10, like for example.
Well, nope. I want you to Google what you said, because by your own testimony here today, kind sir, you just said that when somebody gives you information, you are prone to Google it. Mitochondrial DNA is through the mother, and that is how you find the lineage. Now, it could be broken into pieces, but the father, the papa, that all of those tests are doing, those tests have a purpose, and they offer entertainment. And that, look, this is where your daddy them is. This is who your daddy, this your cousin them, this them, and all. Ain't that the cutest thing? But in tandem with that, there are also some legal implications to that you are signing away. And we know we're veering off, but I just want to put this out there as it relates to these tests. You're giving up your right to reclaim that DNA. You're giving up the right, for unlawful search and seizure to now have no effect. You cannot claim unlawful search and seizure if they're now putting that in a large pool and they're able to comply with states and other local governments, federally or otherwise, where now that information is being sold to the highest bidder. And because you decided you wanted to be entertained, now you're not going to be able to moonwalk that back. So mitochondrial DNA is something that is true. It is something that does exist, and it is real. I would gain nothing or lose anything, by mentioning it. But what I will say is, when you engage in those types of testing and that type of quote unquote entertainment, you really should look at the entirety of what they could do with it. Now, you and I know that if you had a cup and you were sitting at an open place and they decided they want to go get that cup and pull your DNA off of it and do X, they can, because now trash is legally yours. They can take it, it's theirs. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you literally going down there, signing your name on the dotted line. Mitochondrial DNA.
Mitochondrial DNA?
Yeah, you studied that in school, right?
I heard about it, but I didn't really. It seemed like even in school, a lot of that stuff I felt like was bullcrap to me. I never got into it. It seems like that for a lot of black men specifically. This is the reason why they say black men is reading at a 4th grade reading level, I don't think that they are illiterate, because obviously we have black men who have excelled in education, as far as like the education that was presented to them. But it's a lot of black men just didn't want to waste their time into being indoctrinated. And so I think when they came up with the mitochondrial DNA, that just to add to diminish the man. It's to level. It's to make women feel good, make them feel superior, and to make them feel like they are God. And then they also told women that men don't have seeds; they just fertilize. They saying that women got the eggs in the seeds, and we just come up there fertilizing. I don't. And then the people. That's why I'm trying to figure out who came up with this topic. Who came up with this mitochondrial DNA? What was the person who
Okay, let me stop you. Let me stop you. Mitochondrial DNA, like you say, guys just don't want to study in school or whatever. But mitochondrial DNA is mtDNA. That's the code that you'll look for, mtDNA. And when you were in school, whether you were paying attention or not, or maybe they didn't top cover it that day or whatever, it's the special type of DNA that's passed specifically from the mother to the child. It is not in the cell's nucleus, but it's in the mitochondria.
It says it possesses in both males and females.
Yeah, it has to be in both males and females because it comes from the mother. And that it goes from the mama to the child. You ever heard of the phrase, mama's baby, daddy's maybe? It comes from the mama. It comes from the mama. And it is only found past. Listen to me.
Without no man, let's say all men go on strike and say.
So let me ask you this, the argument that you're posing, so that I'm on the same page. What is the necessity of the argument?
The necessity of the argument is that I don't really trust nothing that was taught to me. It made me even argue a lot of stuff that could be evidence and true, but I do believe that a lot of that stuff had a lot of bias and a lot of unfaith arguments. Nothing for sure. I'm more of a factual evidence type of person, and not no theories, and not nothing that we cannot really prove. Right. Only thing, majority of our education that we know, it can be argued. It's nothing evidence outside of the life that we wake up every day and that we can see and touch and hear for ourselves. Outside of that, we only hearing rumors.
Well, I respect that, but here's the thing. If that's the case and we just want to hang our hat there, why move forward? We just give up and lay down. We just give up and stop. If that is the way that we're going to, to deal with this place. But here's the truth. The truth is that each and every one of us, if you are here, you're living, you're breathing, and you are on this plane, you were created for such a time as this, and B of that under number one. Yep, that was A, but letter B under number one is, and you were also required when you arrived in this plane to have a specific task. And it is up to each individual to push past whatever the circumstances we are in and figure it out. Because if not, we may as well just get in a corner, rock ourselves back and forth, suck our thumb and pull our socks up and cry for mama. The truth about the matter is the fact that, yes, there is one side that is in the mama. There is another side of that DNA that's in the papa, and those two meet together, and therefore now you've got a human being. But that mitochondrial DNA, whether we like it or not, or whether we want to agree with its presence in our textbooks or in science as a whole, goes from the mama. It is passed from the mama to the child. My point in bringing that up while we were talking about the whole DNA testing thing that they're doing now is to, shed light on the fact that your DNA is valuable, and the way to circumvent as I use as an example, the search warrant, to ask you for your DNA, just go ahead and get it. You've already signed off on the disclosure when you sent your spit in or your swab in to that company. And now they can sell that to the highest bidder because you've already signed the disclosure that shows, It's just for fun. Let me go ahead and send you a little on my spit, knowing that my spit is going to tell you everything, including any diseases that spit's history in the family's lineage is prone to slide to.
Let me say this, Ms. Lockhart.
Yeah,
so I just Googled it, the mitochondrial DNA and the people who was credited for
the discovery.
1963. Okay. Margaret Nash and Sylvan Nash, right? And I'm going to do more research on their character.
Okay.
As well. So that's something new, right? So this, I don't believe, like, okay.
So why would you believe
in a time with feminism and all this other type of stuff? So it's to make women feel good.
Wow.
To be able to say that they don't need no man. You cannot have nobody. It's no without men. There's no people.
I don't think that's the argument. That's not the argument.
No, that's not the argument. My argument was this: as far as like everything, we got to start talking about the DNA from the DNA and science from all together. The people that presented and gave that all this information to us, including mitochondrial DNA from Margaret Nash and Sylvan Nash, they all. If I look them up, I guarantee you they're gonna be Eurocentric.
They will all be Eurocentric. They will all be with the exception.
Here's my thing. What I'm doing moving forward.
Go ahead.
I don't trust liars. I don't trust thieves. These, especially during these times, Jim Crow days, slavery days, their word is not valuable. Their words is not credible, right? So I do believe there's were Africans or African Americans or Native Americans or Native Black Americans who already have this type of knowledge. I don't no longer feel the need that in order for me to be intelligent or in order for me to know something, I have to directly get it from the Eurocentric perspective. That's where I'm trying to detach myself and deprogram myself from the Eurocentric information. Now, it might be a lot of information that it's almost common sense, like when we say 1 + 1 is 2, or the stuff I need to move
is 1 + 1 2?
I would say 3 because it's the mass in the middle, right? But in order for me not to sound stupid,
you're not stupid. You're not stupid. And so here's the thing. When we utilize information, we do have to understand that in order for you to have that one and that other one, there has to be some pointed differences between the two because opposites attract. So it's okay for you to understand that the mitochondrial DNA is passed from the mother to the child. It's okay for you to understand, what's passed from the father. What's passed from the father to the... Look here, the bald-headed gene comes from who? The mama, whether you know it or not. I had to study trichology. As a master cosmetologist, I had to study all of that. And if you look at some mamas, they got a little bald patch at the top of their head and their sons are full-on bald-headed. I can't disagree with it. It is what it is. And until another person or myself or anybody else does the research to disprove it, all right, and has their theory, because that's exactly what a theory is, until somebody else comes with another theory, then we will settle with the one that we have in hopes that if you're going to dig it up, you can figure it out.
See, that's why I just look up the images of Margaret Nash and Sylvan Nash, right? And I guess they from Scottish. They don't even they look like slave owners. The pictures that I'm looking at.
So let's understand something.
Why would we take information from them?
Why do we take anything from Rome now? Everything that we function under, this whole entire country that we're in right now, is under Rome. But it doesn't just fall on you and me. It falls on everybody. And that's where I hang my bonnet. Because I need everybody to know that there's only power in divisiveness. And that if you got the division, then you got the people. Why? Because if you believe it's the right side and this person believes it's the left side, then you ain't going to hang out with the person on the right side. And the right side ain't going to hang out with the left side. And never the two shall twain. Never the twain shall meet. They're not going to ever meet in the middle. They're going to stay apart. And if they stay apart, And finally they come together. They're like, wait a minute. That happened? Yeah, man, I'm trying to tell you. That's what I was trying to let you know. Are you kidding me? No, man, that's what happened. Once you get together, then Geppetto ain't got the strings no more, baby. Papa Geppetto ain't got no more strings when you come together. When you start to put all the pieces together, which you cannot do if you are separated, apart, divided, arguing amongst one another, you'll never put the parts together. And as long as you have the divisiveness, then there's a victory. But it's not one that you have won.
So would you concede that majority of that is information that we know, since we don't have evidence of it, and since we don't have other people who coming out disputing it? Because scientists, to be honest with you, I just looked up yesterday. It was shocking. Scientists always conflict with other scientists, but when we have in conversation, we having people talking about what science is based on science. It says this as if science is in one group. No, they conflict each other. They have arguments with each other. And they also said no scientists come up with factual information. It's all in theories. So basically, we arguing in person, referencing some scientists who argue theories. They're not even arguing evidence or facts, because if scientists have evidence and facts, it won't be no argument, especially amongst scientists who hold all of our belief systems, far as like DNA, far as like biology, far as medicine, our lives. It's a reason why we got medicine based on, and we depended on scientists, but we don't have no cures. It's all in theories. We have to hope. Actually, most people done got cured by just naturally healing through time, right? None of the medicine that came from scientists actually have cured anyone. Sometimes it destroys people and it mess up other stuff or part of your body. Yeah, it will probably, let's say you take a high blood pressure pill. It will probably calm your high blood pressure down, but now you got kidney failure. You got lung cancer now. So a lot of times when we be referencing sciences and stats and stuff, we referencing a theory instead of a fact.
Can I ask you a favor?
What's that?
Throw Google in the garbage. Throw your computer in the garbage. Don't do any more research with the internet. Leave it alone. I don't want you to do it. And here's why. Because the internet was not just created by a single person. And it evolved through a lot of work by key individuals from academia, from defense research, scientists like computer scientists. There's a white cat, Bob Kahn. Okay. You've also got, oh, gee whiz, so many mathematicians. You've got military researchers. You've got different people who, and there are some Black folks, but for the most part, CERN is the one who did the actual WWW, the World Wide Web that you now are peering in to come up with answers. And they are from Switzerland. And the preponderance of those engineers that came up with the WWW World Wide Web are Europeans. Why? Because CERN itself sits on 4 places. It sits right there smack dab in Europe, in Switzerland. And they do research all the time. So then go grab a few books. Go to the library. Go to book readings, pull books from individuals that have like interests and like mind and believe the way that you believe. So that way you can then utilize that information. But there are certain things that you cannot get away from. One is the fact that the mother on her half, because opposites attract, right? Her part is the mitochondrial DNA. The daddy, what do the daddy got?
Told to us.
Well, based on what was told to us,
Margit Nass and
either way, you're here, and you're not running around with one set of DNA, because you'd be walking around a slurpy vegetable. You've got to have both sides in order for you to exist. That's really, but that to me is really a moot point. That to me is really neither here nor there.
When women say that, when they specify that, they usually say that to diminish men out the deal.
Not at all. Not at all. How is it? Okay, tell me how.
Okay, when they usually say that, it's usually when I hear women say that, they try to diminish men because Margaret Nash and Sylvia Nash in 1963 said, "Oh, the woman DNA is really in the kid. Yeah, you give birth to the kid, but without the man, if all men go on strike and don't donate their sperm to sperm banks, women will never have kids. Men can stop you from being
I think you're coming from a totally different direction, and that is, the Little Rascals, man, woman haters club. That's where you're coming from.
No, part of that. That's where you're like education. As far as like education in totality, I think that we should do what you said. I don't need to go to no library get books because those are the same. It's almost like going to the same sources of people for my smartness. It seems like in order for us people to be smart, we talk about Europeans every day. And it seems like in order for us to be smart, and since we don't have other people to come in from different cultures to dispute what we have been taught since a baby, we just have to swallow this. Even though we don't have, I would say, even though we don't have other avenues, I'm still don't want to be indoctrinated with lies. Because as long as I accept these lies, I will never strive to actually find facts and evidence. Nothing that I've been taught in this life, from elementary to all the way to school, high school. And when I listen to everybody else, even people that graduate from Harvard and all these other colleges, they never talk about facts. Even that, let's say you go to be a doctor or a lawyer or just a doctor or study medicine. It's not saying that you went out there in the field and put herbs together and really figured out what can make, if you mix this together, this can make this medicine. So you're not becoming a doctor like that. A lot of people become doctors based on a regurgitation of the scientists who don't have factual information. It's all in theory, but you just went to school and you just studied a bunch of textbooks, whereas the great old man, Dr. Sebi, he went out there and became a doctor himself. And what was the
Wait result? A minute. We want to talk about Dr. Sebi. To your point, who was the end to all of his ruins?
Who was what?
To your point, you're saying, we don't want to deal with the white man, or we don't want to deal with the Europeans and all this other stuff. But who was Dr. Sebi's ruin? Who helped him become no longer?
I believe the Caucasian man.
Okay, but you say that, but what do you have to prove or substantiate that theory?
Because he became a threat when he came with that information. If he, you got to think, if he come up with cures that cures the main diseases, cancers, HIV, herpes, that's zillions of dollars in control and power.
But that's not answering the question. It's a very good, valid point, everything that you're saying right there. But my point to you is, you're saying not to trust these folks and not to do this and that. And your very own, protagonist here, he's the one who had a group of women working in his office that inevitably took over his own business under his nose, and is the reason now why this company that he worked so hard all the way to his death to build up is now divided into 4 different pots. And now you have to really, with a fine-tooth comb, vet his products, because of these women that he hired in his office that, under his own nose by the cover of night, swiped his business from him. So now, chew on that, right? But I want to go back to our whole point of dealing with, and again, I still agree. I still believe that, I have to be cognizant of something, that you are a part of the He-Man Woman's Hater Club. You are part of the He-Man Woman Haters Club from the Little Rascals. You remember the Little Rascals?
No, here's my thing.
Okay, come on with it.
I totally disagree with that because here's why. I understand bull crap, right? And what I mean by that is like it's been a stream agenda to leverage women over men. They did it. They did it in the Euro perspective, and they doing it here now. When you get a African American woman that get a degree, she usually weaponized that against the men. She always like want to diminish her black men. So it's not about that. I have this part of this team of going against women. No, we got to tell the truth. One thing I learned about women, Miss Lockhart, is that these women, you could tell them something that make them feel good, even if it's a fairy tale. Women love lies. They not gonna want to. They not gonna want to do research and come out with factual information because the lie feels much safer. The lie feels much better, and then it gives them this false confidence, which is arrogant, and they not giving them the actual truth. Because if that's the case, if we could just speak truth all the time, I don't think women will want to. We will have a different type of women, and I don't think they will want to be around as much if we gave them all the real uncut truth. So we that's why the main people that buy fictional stories or buy into fictional movies and fictional love stories is women because they love these fairy tales. Whereas men, it don't matter if it's I'm at fault or the women at fault. We like to have the reality. We like the full picture. Women don't want the full picture. They want a picture that makes them feel good. And this is why when I talk about receiving education, they don't mind accepting one-sided stories as long as the people that present it to them has power. They're going to submit. That's one. Secondly, if a story makes them feel good, or if they could use these stories in this regurgitation stuff to benefit from, like an education, like a degree, to make money and stuff like that, they wouldn't mind accepting these stories. Just the same thing they did with Jesus and Christianity religion. Christianity religion was given to us by Eurocentric people who oppressed us. Yet, since those people have power, they had wealth, and and women can benefit from that. You can't tell these women. They'll tell you if my black man don't believe in Jesus, he can't be with me. Jesus, my man. In fact, they would give credit if I was their husband and I go work all these hours and I pay all the bills. They won't even get a credit to me. They would say, "Oh, Jesus took care of me." No, Jesus didn't take care of crap. JP paid them bills. Jesus didn't do nothing. But they willing to accept these false stories. I talk to my daughters them all the time, a lot of them all the time. Her two came out the other day. The tooth fairy gonna come. I picked a day, and guess what she do? When the tooth fairy coming? When the tooth fairy coming? Now my nephews know it's a second crap, right? But they just say, my nephews know, I can't run the tooth fairy stuff on them. But if you give a woman an amazing story, they're gonna believe it, and they would get emotional. They would get emotional tied to the lie. They would get emotional tied to these stories, and so that's what make it just like they did with Jesus. They get so emotional connected with it, and it becomes factual in their own feelings.
Okay, not saying let me ask you a question,
but it might still be not inaccurate.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, and the reason why I keep bringing you back to center is because what you are saying is accurate as it relates to the people that you represent. But did you know that Scandinavia, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and all the Slavic nations originally rejected Christianity when it was spreading from the Middle East, Middle East and Rome. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's not just, and that's the reason why I keep bringing you back to center, because it's only when we get back to center that we see that there is a group, Pinky and the Brain and their brothers, Neil, that want mass domination to dominate everybody. Just like when Columbus went into that island, into the Bahamas, and he then stuck his stuck his flag down there for Spain. All right. He put the flag in the Bahamas soil. People had already been there. They didn't have any disease until him and his fellas came and started kicking it. All right. He put that flag there for Spain. These groups of individuals that I'm referencing are just like us. They didn't want anything to do with a Roman religion. They didn't want anything to do with it. And we really got to be cognizant of something when we bring anything dealing with religion over here on my side, because that's what I have my doctorates in. Okay, so whenever you start dancing in different religions and history dealing with religion, whether it's, whatever it's with, whether it's paganism, whether it's, all of the above, whether you're talking about Mithricism, whether you're talking about any of that, that's my wheelhouse. That there I've studied. So my point to that piece is that everybody rejected it. They came and they dealt with the American Indian. They rejected it. And what happens is whenever anybody rejects what they want to push or peddle, okay, we're talking about Rome, what do they say? Well, that belief system is evil. That belief system is wicked. But they're the main people who are peddling their wares of wickedry, right? So I just want us to get to the point where we realize that, just like I say, hey, no, I don't vote anymore, and here's my reason why. And I think I laid that out pretty good in plain English. But we have to also realize that there is a group that wants control of everyone. If it were not so, there would not be these divided lines that are being fabricated and made every single day to divide. As long as we're divided, whether it be male from woman. And another thing I want to bring up when you're talking about the woman with the education, don't you think that white men lamented the fact that their wives got all those degrees and now the wives have left the home? Don't you think that there were equally white cats that were lamenting the fact that their wives were now educated? And most wives at that point, when this whole turn thing started happening, did not want to have anything to do with taking care of their kids, didn't want anything to do with cooking or cleaning. And at that point, things financially were not as bad as they are now. But then again, to me, as I look at it, that was the whole point of making the woman as independent as she was. Again, that's my opinion. This is Headlines with a Voice. This is Lockhart Radio. That's my opinion. That's my perspective. I feel like when women were in their rightful place to take care of the ones that came out of their body, the world was better off. So for me to understand that, I got to throw the cards out there correctly and say, okay, I see it all now. This whole thing right here was to make Pawpaw, who was working out there in the fields and taking care of the family just fine. Everybody had a chicken in the pot. Everybody had collard greens on the side. It was to make him feel dumb and useless. I can see that. I can also see, a cat, Bob the Builder. He was going out there working. He was the hero to everybody until somebody told her that she didn't have to do anything but be. Now that she's being, where are the kids? What about the children? Where are they? Who's taking care of them? It's difficult to tell a young lady right now in today's society that her making $9 an hour with 3 kids having to go to daycare while her husband is going to work is really just paying to go to work. You cannot tell a woman that. Why? Because society has told her otherwise. Society says that if you need 2 incomes, ma'am, go to work and make $19 an hour. Go to work and make $10 an hour. Go to work and make $12 an hour. If she's not sitting at home making that money and she's out and about, that analogy tells us she's literally working to pay to go to work. Why do I say that? Because by the time you count gas, by the time you count daycare, because mom and them is tired of watching people's kids, baby, you're going to have to pay somebody somewhere. By the time you pay for the lunch, because you're not always going to cook when you get home because you're too tired, you're not going to have any leftovers to pack as lunch. When you have to go out and buy a specific outfit that you can't wear jeans, now you got to wear a blazer and a skirt if you're answering phones or if you're facing the public. All of these things have to be deducted. Then you got FICA that wants some. Then you got Social Security want a little more. Then you got Medicare that wants some of that. Then you got the local city. You got all of that. You got the state tax. You got all of that. And baby, by the end of the time you look at that paycheck, you have literally brought in $100. So it's difficult for any man to feel like he's worth anything in this day and time, whether he is white, black, orange, green, Indian, whether he is, Mexican. All right. It's far better for you to sit your rump at the house when you can't make but $19 or $20 an hour and you leave in the house. You got to put a tank of gas. You got to buy lunch. You got to buy something to wear. You got to treat yourself. You're going to get your nails done if you're that type of chick. My point to bringing that whole thing up is this. It is the fact that this situation has been created to continue to keep everyone divided. Meanwhile, they are rolling new laws under the radar like a bowling ball at a bowling alley on a Friday night when everybody just got paid and got a couple of bucks extra to blow. They are rolling new laws. They are tweaking existing laws to bend toward their will. They are lying publicly, throwing themselves and their, cohorts under the bus to change the oil. All right. Because they are hiding a great deal of this information from you and from me and from everybody else who would get themselves in line with, I voted for Bob. I voted for Sally. Now that Bob or Sally is in office, I'm going to stand with them no matter what, even to the tune of the trash that we're seeing taking place right now. And it is sad, but it exists. And it is not a white situation. It's not a black situation. It's only white or black to the people who are white or black and refuse to see that outside of themselves. Guess what? That neighbor you don't want to have a conversation with, baby, he dealing with the same thing. She dealing with the same thing. Society as a whole needs an enema. The whole town needs an enema. Why? Because everybody's full of it. Because everybody's full of themselves. Everybody only wants what makes them feel good. And as long as you play to that part of the psychological mind of the man or the woman, baby, you gonna win. I don't care who you are. I want to thank somebody who just gave us a wonderful blessing. It looks like that is the 18th letter. Thank you so very much for being a supporter of the channel today. We do appreciate you. It does help keep us up and going, helps us pay some bills, helps us stay where we are, helps me not have to go in and clock in on somebody else's clock. The 18th letter says, it was all a plan to destroy the black family in exchange for government resources. The mother gave up her sons to the prison system. Let me give you a
shout out to one in the building.
Very true. Very true. Thank you for that. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to say this. Because I didn't want to just go back and forth like gender stuff like that. I just want to take.
Okay, we can take it. We can both take it. It's okay. You and I, we are like this even in our private times. Hey, listen, everybody, I want you to hold on to that because we're already 1 hour into this podcast. And if you've never had Judge Joe Brown's delicious barbecue sauce, baby, here I go. I'm going to let you understand something because that's my friend. And I don't get anything for this. I get absolutely zero for this. But the one thing I do is I love my friend and I really love his barbecue sauce. So let's go on ahead, take a listen to this, and we'll be right back. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. And we are back. I want to thank each and every one of you all for hanging out with us here on the Lockhart Radio podcast. Again, I am your host, Felicia Lockhart. We're coming up on hour number 2, where we have Jay Prince for president, and his wonderful, wonderful channel chat members are here with us as well. And we're also simulcasting today with the Lockhart Perspective. Remember what I shared with everybody, that very soon everything will be under one roof for the Lockhart Radio Group, and that will be all under Lockhart Perspective. So when you come over to Headlines with a Voice in a couple of months, please, please, please don't think you're in the wrong place. You're in the right place. We're pulling slowly but surely all of our content from the best of the best from the Lockhart Perspective over to Headlines with a Voice, where it is now at Lockhart Perspective. But guess what? We have a membership for you here. That's right. You can help support the channel for only $3. That's $2.99, baby. We already have some wonderful content as we've slid it from the Lockhart Perspective over here. Things that I don't think any of you ever knew about me or ever even got the opportunity to watch. Guess where it's at? Right now, it's under the members only tab, and you can watch that as well as a whole lot of other great information that we are piling up on you, loving on you, baby. I want to thank you so very much. We have 2 individuals who have blessed us today who are now our sponsors. We've got Dovetail55. She blessed us with a $9.99 super chat. And she says, love to see you back regularly. Again, I'm happy as well. And then also the 18th letter blessed us with $4.99. Again, it was all a plan to destroy the Black family in exchange for government resources. The mother gave up her sons to the prison system. I agree. Listen, go ahead. Tell us what's on your mind, Jay Prince. You were in the middle of throwing down some information, and I want to hear it.
I think you got to put up put us back behind the wall again.
No, I put us there on purpose for the second hour. The second hour, the second hour is us. It's you and me, baby. It's you and me.
Okay. So
go ahead.
So I do believe that we don't have the education that was given to us. We don't share the same power from the people who allegedly have received the same education. We still in the same position that our ancestors were, as far as like power. We still have zero power. But we was told that education is power. Only people that I seen benefit from the education was everybody but African Americans. As far as like power, not making money, right? That's you can make money without an education. It's a lot of people that's millionaires now without a zero of education. Probably like a few years in high school or middle school, but they millionaires. So it's other avenues to make money. So it's not the point of making money. And that's where Black folks stopped at. We stopped at where the ability to make money. And we didn't think about we didn't think about going further. Because if education is universal, well, why is Blacks is still at the bottom as far as like power compared to any other races?
Don't you
Maybe
think there's some accountability that we may, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, don't you think perhaps there's a bit of accountability on our part for that?
no. The only accountability that I would say that we allow our oppressors to educate us. And sometimes, and a lot of times, we allow them to educate us about us, right? We should have never been fight to put up a fight to go in their system, to go in theirs, to get to receive their education. As if when we did that, we automatically gave them power.
Okay,
That's how
so
we really gave
I
them power.
agree with that.
Hold on, let me finish this right quick. We automatically gave them power when we submitted ourselves to their system, their way, their beliefs, their education. We fought to be in their education. And since we don't have our own, since we're not connected with our own history and ancestors, we saying, now we done got to the point where we saying, well, we don't got no other choice but to believe this. No, that don't sit well with me. That's lazy. Because we don't need our ancestors
I agree.
to move forward, because
Laziness. I agree.
I believe nature can lead us into the direction of whatever position that we could be in. We don't no longer need to continue to be indoctrinated with stuff that's been proven to be lies. Let's get education is not yielded around Eurocentric. But here in America, this part why our African brothers don't get along with us, because they understand that although we they brothers, but we was raised and we was raised in our upbringing is Eurocentric. I wouldn't want to mess with no American either, not no Black American either, because they are Eurocentric. Although they are Black African brothers and sisters, but we are Eurocentric as far as like the brain and the way we view life from another race perspective. Our God looks like everybody else but us. And we don't, that's the accountability that I will give to us Blacks for submitting ourselves to this destruction. It's one thing to beat me. It's another thing when you make me believe that this is where I should be and this is how I should think. They got our minds. What you think about that, Ms. Lockhart?
I think that you make some very good points. I don't think that there's anything wrong with your ideology. What I will say is you can't be from two continents, and I truly and honestly believe that you can't be a two continent named individual. Let me clarify that. You can't be an African American unless you were born in Africa and came to America and gave up the citizenship and became an American citizen. Once we start to realize the things that you just said, it becomes, it becomes our responsibility to start to change our verbiage about who we are. I know who I am, and I don't care who's uncomfortable about who I am. When I have, Chinese American friends, and I have Korean American, I had a very good friend who was from Korea, sweet as pie, just a gem of a woman. We worked together when I was in the beauty industry years ago. Her name was Jane Park. And she's a Korean American, right? I have other friends who are mixed up. Some of them have a little Irish in them. Some of them have a little Germanic, German in them, and then others have, and then some have a little Native in them or American Indian in them. So, I think that it's important for us to understand that all of us have been lied to. And once we start to become a victim in that, we lose sight of the fact that what JM just said here is the point. He says, Ms. Lockhart is absolutely right. This is a us 99% versus them 1% elites. Nothing is going to change until we see past all the division tactics and come together collectively. JM, we thank you. I know that you are supporting the Black House. I appreciate you so much for being here today, and we just want to let you guys know that we appreciate every one of those individuals who are now, we've got 3 sponsors now. Thank you so much for carrying our podcast today. We appreciate you so very much. And I agree with what you're saying, But I think that as we begin to sharpen ourselves and we begin to smooth our edges, it allows us to be able to stand a little closer to somebody who's going through exactly the same thing. Listen, the education system that we are all suffering from today at this point is a wash. There are so many different school districts throughout the United States that are suffering as it relates to enrollment because people are tired. And it's only when people get tired of the status quo that things change. But that change threatens the status quo, which means there's going to be a bit of blowback. I say that 3 times fast. And so with that in mind, you have to understand, hey, let's look at Alabama, for example. Alabama's dealing with some stuff right now where they are losing teachers by the drones and students by the droves. They're losing. Why? Because the schools are no longer doing what we were told they were going to do. That's reading, writing, and arithmetic. Nobody's getting any more reading, writing, and arithmetic. Everybody is becoming a social justice warrior. There are no more individuals that are going to camps and going to things to learn how to become a combustible engine engineer, i.e. a mechanic. You don't find anybody going to become a plumber. We still need plumbers. Everybody is going to the whole mindset, oh, the AI is going to do everything. Okay, yeah, it can do that. But until it takes over getting up under your house and fixing some pipes, baby, your sons need to be going someplace learning how to do that. They need to be watching Paw change out a carburetor from something back in the 67 era. Or they need to be watching Paw change the brakes on a 2000 something. They need to watch these things and become indoctrinated in things that they're going to need to do because, hey, let's face it, the stuff that they're being taught right now, compulsory education, is not going to equip them for tomorrow. If you got a kid right now who is 14 years old and he don't even know what he want to be, or she doesn't even know what she wants to be, I guarantee you that when the world tells them they're grown at 18, you're going to have another homeless statistic. Why? Because if you've not raised them with the fear of God in their bones, they're going to be sitting right at your house on your couch. And guess what? Guess what proves my point? BlackRock and everybody else who has subsidiaries that have purchased up all of the housing and raised up all the prices because your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew is going to need you. So you better build the relationships with them right now because they ain't going to be able to afford anything. So it's a system, and it's a system that is affecting all of us. I appreciate you, JM. Thank you so much. Go ahead there, sir.
Shout out to JM for the $10. Miss Lockhart is absolutely right. This is a 99% versus them 1%. Hold on, I can't see it, Miss Lockhart.
I'm sorry, baby. Let me go back over here. Go. Apologize.
Nothing is going to change until we see past all the division tactics and come together collectively. This is how I view us, Black Americans. We are chemotherapy. What I mean by we are chemotherapy, we are like, we got a problem, a big problem, a dangerously problem. But we are like, chemotherapy is like to maintain it for a while until it's no longer, right? So we're not actually curing the problem by getting Eurocentric educated or getting finances. Making finances not like, I don't know what I really want to inspire you to be now, or what I inspire my kids to be, because it seems like it's just repetitive, right? It's just a list of stuff that we is taught that we can do. It still don't bring us no power. It just give us some stuff to be stagnated.
What is power?
Power to me is like sitting on the side of the government, creating laws, creating systems, and making rules, and learning education from our perspective. I no longer want to have a perspective of Eurocentric perspectives or information. So I look at us like we are chemotherapy. We not a cure. The problem that we've been addressing, we never really address it. We just maintain it. to keep us. We maintain with money to keep us at ease, to make us redirect from the pain that we actually are suffering from, that we are not addressing. We're not addressing our truly pain. So what we do, we go to say, okay, I'm gonna make some money. We make money. We go buy materialistic stuff that they built and that they created. And we it's almost like taking drugs. It's almost like drinking alcohol instead of addressing the issue that Black people need to address. But we keep hiding under the guise of making money, and now we able to make money. We able to read the Eurocentric books, and now we shouldn't have no problems. No, we still have that same major problem that our ancestors did when we first came here. Nothing.
But I didn't come from anywhere. I need to clarify that. We didn't come from anywhere. I've done my research. We were already here before Columbus did. Before Columbus came here, we were already here. My people were already here. We did not come over on no boats. And if you're talking about compulsory education, shoving lies down the throats of people, both white folks and Black folk have all been taught about a slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, and the way that they wanted us to believe it. You've got Arthur Plecker. You've got several other individuals who were all publicly a part of a lie and a conspiracy, and it is true, to whitewash the topography or the geography or the demographics, as it were, of America. You have individuals who did come here, and see, that's the part that I want to drive home, that if we're going to have a conversation about, Europeans, we need to be fair and equitable in this conversation, because there were a lot of people who go to school every single year up to a certain point, right? And have been told the same story. We all thought Roots was a real story. Everybody and their mama, white folk and Black folk, were all fed a lie that was later admitted years after the damage was done. Many years after the damage was done, we then realized that Mr. Alex Haley lied. So I'm going to keep taking us back to center. I've got to keep taking us back to center. Folks, I thank you all for your comments down there in the chat. We are definitely taking advantage of support for those individuals who, like JM and our two other folks who are the sponsors of the channel today, and I want to thank them. Thank you so much again, Dovetail 55, as well as the 18th letter, for supporting us here today, keeping us up and going. So I just feel like, we could beat a dead horse, but first of all, it starts with us. And I'm glad you mentioned what you said about, about the education piece, because it's definitely up to us to make sure that our homes are run in a way that would line up with what we truly are saying and what we are truly believing. If you don't want your children to be taught this stuff, then homeschool them. Get the books that you want them to read. Get the curriculum and the requirements from the state that you live in, and follow those rules and regulations. But definitely make sure that you're teaching your children the difference. Find out who you are so that you can teach them about your family's
culture. That's where we lost that.
You learn at the but if we know that, then aren't we just as bad as the one who pushed it on us if we don't switch it and start to teach it?
Yes, but the problem is when you all say educate, like we've been hundreds, almost 1,000 years removed from our original way of doing things.
Okay, so get back to it.
So homeschooling a kid is pointless because we don't know. Because the people that the Euros govern our history and done removed, done changed, done tore down, and kept a lot of our original self of doing stuff and replaced it with their information and history. So we actually, the only how we even know about Black history today is through a Eurocentric lens.
There is no Black history
taught us about our history. We don't know about our history except the history that we created throughout our time moving forward, from like the 1900s moving forward. We don't know nothing about our original way of doing things. So teaching our kids to homeschool, that's like almost like a slap in the face, because How could you go? How could I teach my kids something of my roots and where I really come from before this alleged slavery if all that stuff been removed?
So what do you teach your children? Do you listen? I feel like, and I'm gonna pick on you here just a second again, just playing devil's advocate. If we lay down and stay there, then how does it ever change? So basically, the conversation really sounds like these are the things that were done to us. These are the things that happen. There is no sense in fighting it because it can never change. So let me and my entire family lay down in the middle of the road and allow the next Mack truck to take us out because there's really no sense in being here because there's nothing that we can do. It sounds like an excuse. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying anybody who has that mindset, it sounds like an excuse not to do better. It's not just history that you
we don't know what to do, what doing better is. We
but
think
if you
doing better
have
by
morals, but if you've got morals and if you've got
morals is subjective. But what I'm saying, the only thing that we could do now is follow nature. Like, just because we don't got no other way, that don't mean we have to accept stuff that's hurting us. We don't have to continue. We don't have to continue to follow something that's been hurting us.
I agree.
Like, so this stuff that we've been receiving, it's been hurting us. So I think that we attach ourselves to this because it's been passed down. This all we know. So we don't know nothing else.
Like what?
All we know is to go to school, go read the Eurocentric books.
But you don't have
Eurocentric God, Eurocentric dollar bill, Eurocentric buildings, Eurocentric American dream.
So
that's not a black dream.
I agree with that. What is black? Dream. Black is the absence of. If you're
and then our presidents and government officials is Eurocentric. Everything around us is Eurocentric. Exactly. I got a major problem with that.
Exactly. So how do we fix it?
Man, I don't want me and my kids to be just so Eurofied. And then we got to the point where we make fun of blacks. Blacks make fun of blacks because you can't speak a Euro language properly, the proper Euro way. Or we make fun of if you didn't graduate with a Euro degree and learn, or if you don't know Euro history or Euro education. And we make fun of each other for that. Oh, you got to be stupid. You don't know how Christopher Columbus or such and such. Like, this don't have nothing to do with us. None of this stuff that's been taught to us have zero to do with us. This is why black boys do not see interest in the education system. We want to say that he need Ritalin. We want to say that he gonna be a criminal. We want to say that he can't sit still or he just been rebellious. No, it don't connect with our souls. The girls don't mind it because they used to submit to power. But black boys, we know bull crap when we hear it. So it's something innately in black boys to not to just want to sit up in class and allow these Euro people, the Euro teachers, Euro education to indoctrinate them with poison. I look at the education system like it's poison. It's nothing. It don't do nothing for us. Because when we do have black men get education, they still at the bottom of all races of men. It did not bring power to the black man. It's only maintained and kept power to the Euro way, not for us. So I don't know why anybody that keep want to push us to go down that path that they ain't doing nothing for us.
How do we fix it?
Hurting us.
How do we fix it?
We fix it by deprogramming ourselves. And since we do not have our correctable history, we have to create our own history by nature, thriving off our essence.
What does that look like?
Our essence is give the Euro people, let the Euro people have their Euro stuff, their money, their God, their education, their Bible, their all that stuff, even their food. All this stuff was poison to us. And then we find our way. We depend on nature like we've been doing before Euro people came about. Get more attached to nature. Learn to take off your shoes and walk on the ground and get connected with God. Go listen to the birds and learn to grow our food and let's study air and let's take a lot of these trees and watch the animals. Let the animals show us how to connect, how to get natural herbs for medicine. Because when I had my 3 dogs, I never took them to the vet. And when they got cold, when they got sick or whatever, they will always go in their backyard and eat grass or eat certain type of leaves. And they be completely fine. That's part of what we need to do. Let the animals show us our medicine. We got to get more connected with the animals, get connected with nature. I think that's what, and also we have allowed, it's 19 million black people in America. It's 102 white male Americans. So 102 million of white men. So you know it's way more white women. We have allowed them to make us believe that we shouldn't have kids based on a premise because we don't have the amount of Eurocentral dollars. Guess what? When we first started having kids, money didn't exist. So our numbers is dwindling based on our population. And it used to be a point where they used to force us not to have kids. Now we have bought into this and we believe the hype. I have met so many men, and especially men and women that's in their 40s and 50s with 0 children and they black. Never heard of. So we depopulating ourselves. Population control. We got to the point where we doing that to ourselves and be proud of it. And every time I ask them, why you don't got kids? I might don't got kids, but I got a lot of money. I got a big house. I can go on trips I can go see the white Jesus in France. I can go see the white Jesus in France. Why do we have to do that? We wiping ourselves out and don't even realize it. And the second part of wiping ourselves out is interracial dating, but that's another topic. We got to the point where we don't see no interest in the black way no more. We laugh at the black stuff. We mock the black stuff. We don't even care about the black.
What is black?
Well, I'm using the word black because so people to understand, so I won't go down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out what color.
But here's the thing: when we insist on using labels that were put on us by the, how did you say it earlier, the Eurofied people, when we insist on using those terms, aren't we a part of the problem? Moreover, here's my main question: do you have a solution that has already started where it's supposed to, and that is in your own household? Each one of us that have spoken about what we think, we need to be able to say what we have done in our own household to reverse that quote unquote curse. Because if we've not done anything, then we're just running our liver lips here on this panel. You and I both. That's why I'm asking, what have you done? What have you done to make it a difference?
It took a lot to even get to this mindset.
Okay, so what have you done?
I was for 40 years, I've been in the box. But now I'm trying to climb out the box and look at the box and see what's the problem that we having. And so now everything start off with a thought first.
Okay, before I can do anything, when did you get to this knowledge? That's a very fair assessment, what you just said. When did you come into this knowledge?
I came to this knowledge of throughout time and actually having panic attacks and anxieties helped me with this knowledge.
So would you say that it was in the last 5 years?
Within the last 5 years, as far as technically in 2007. Right?
Okay, so since 2007, what have you done on a singular level to change your surroundings and that of the children that you have to prevent them from being, and I'll use your word again, Eurofied?
There's almost no way one man by himself, because Here's why. Let's just say I don't want my kids to go to their schools. I have took my kids out of their schools, right? But everybody around me believe in this what they supposed to do. So now my kids not gonna have the social life. I don't want my kids and them to be in a box because we praise the Eurocentric way more than the colored way, right? So even if let's say if I do everything the black way, guess what? I'm by myself. So 3 people who decide to climb out the box ain't gonna really make no statement, ain't gonna really make no change at all. But what I can do since we have social media, this is the main step. Is me is voicing it, and since I have a voice to constantly like put out there and get people to really think about stuff, maybe then eventually we could form something where we can do this at home and possibly outside. Because it seems like every time black folks want to do some correction, we got to start out. We always getting told to start at home instead of outside.
Well, isn't
Because
that where our biggest cheerleaders are? Is at home, JP? We have our, it's home is a double-edged sword.
home is our race.
A prophet is without any honor in his own home or his own land. Conversely, if we do not start with our home, we are a derelict. Basically, we are a hypocrite if we don't start in our home once we come to the knowledge of any close held belief systems. I mean, if a man or
home
a woman decides, I'm sorry.
Home is our race. That's
okay,
home.
so I'm talking about my house, because in my house, nobody is running around here doing X, and X could be whatever it is that we know is not right. Right. So in my house, nobody is doing X. So if we know that X is quote unquote of the devil, like Bobby Boucher used to say, his mama, then we can't do X if we know that X is of the devil. We only sit here and we can only, talk if we don't have any quantifiable evidence that shows that we have made changes with significant strides that have changed the way that our children, our grandchildren, those that are around us, flow with. If my grandchildren were allowed to come on here right now, they would tell you what I don't allow. The 2 young men that I'm raising, they will tell you what's not allowed. They will tell you what we're not allowed to do. They will tell you who they are. They will correct you if you call them black. They will respectfully correct you. Even one of my sons, when this whole first thing started with me, he would correct people if they called him an African American in respect. So my thing is if we are going to say that this is the problem, but I haven't started it yet, and I found out about it 20 years ago, then we're just a part of the problem and we're just talking. Because if you don't have any significant changes to go along with what you're saying or what we are saying, then we are just like everybody else. We got an opinion, but guess what? Everybody got an opinion. It's like they got a tail hole. They got an opinion, but an opinion does not move the needle, not one iota when it comes to change. If you want things to change, you must practice what you preach, not you, but you in general, right? You got to practice what you preach in your house. Because if you don't practice what you preach in your house, it's a problem. I'm going to be very honest with you, and everybody who follows me from the Lockhart perspective that has dug into any of my public work, anything, and anybody who's seen me on a platform publicly speaking, whether it was in California, whether it was in Alabama, whether it was in Atlanta, you know my life story. You know my situation. There is no way that I can escape the things that I have told people about publicly if I can't tell you that there's a little bit that I'm working on here, and a little bit that I'm working on there, and a whole lot that I've accomplished over here. You have got to start with your home. Because as the head of a home, females, if you are a single woman and you're the head of your house, you got to start at home, honey. You cannot go out to the clubs and expect for your children to do anything different in the next 10 years if that's what you're doing. Fathers, you can't go upside your wife's head if you're really working on it and you're saying this is wrong. I saw my daddy do it. Now I'm not going to do it anymore. And still, I know it's wrong, but you're going upside her head. Wives, you can't keep belittling your husbands if you know that that's what your mama and them and your auntie and them did, and you saw what it did to your dad that you loved and adored dearly, or your uncles that you loved and adored dearly, good, genuine good men. You cannot tell me what you believe and what you think the problem is if you've not at the same time got an opportunity to tell me what you've done to fix it. Because if you've not done anything to fix it, shut up. Not you, but in general. That it doesn't matter whether you're coming in my chat or whether you're sending me an email. It doesn't matter. If you've not fixed anything, then you may as well use the analogy. Go lay in the middle of the street, prostrate, and wait for the next Mack truck to hit you.
I disagree.
Well, we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back from our break. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. Well, welcome back. We are 1 hour, 46 minutes in, and we are here with none other than the provocateur himself, baby. All the way from the Black House, none other than Mr. J. Prince. Go ahead and tell us why you disagree. I love these stimulating conversations.
First off, Black Spring with Autumn, $5. He said, parents and guardians are the first educators. Protect their imagination and develop executive function in these times. Thank you, Dr. Lockhart. So,
thank you, Black Spring, for supporting the channel. We do appreciate you. This is how we eat, baby. Thank you so much. And as a matter of fact, she's an educator. So she's an educator, and she is on the actual, she's right down there in the field. She's on the field. She sees exactly what's going on.
Here's my thing with Black Springs. This how I will look at it. You know how you pass down the women, the mothers usually pass down the information about how the fathers and the men of the family, what they used to do. I feel as though by her being a Black power, a Black educator, she passing down Eurocentric history.
How do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because there's no interest, it's no interest for Black Americans about Black African education, right? Because every other race in America, what we don't know, what they don't tell us, they be heavily invested in African places like Egypt and stuff like that, redoing Egypt and learning a lot outside of slavery, but learning a lot of infrastructure and how the way engineering, science, mathematics, all that types of stuff from African people. But the whites now going to tell you that, they're going to tell us, stay out of Egypt. Egypt is a place of sin. That's where they held the Hebrews in bondage. And so Black Spring would go tell her teach those African kids what the Eurocentric father want us to pass down, want us to know. That? Because majority of educators, no matter if they Black or Eurocentric, this is the curriculum. in order to be a educator, she had to practice the curriculum. It don't matter what type of color she
Okay, but
is.
how is
When
that
you
a
go in
problem?
history, like my kids in history class, and I challenged a lot of stuff. Like they was teaching my daughters about Greek and Greek gods and all this other type of lies. And I challenged it, and the teacher told me, "Well, this part of the curriculum. This is part of the curriculum. So if she's an educator, meaning like a teacher, she had to practice that curriculum, even though she don't agree with it. But to maintain her job, her slave work, she have to indoctrinate her own race of children with this same indoctrination that she knows she probably don't agree with.
Will your children go back to mainstream school?
What is mainstream school?
Regular school, or are they going to continue to be homeschooled?
Well, everybody trying to convince me. Oh yeah, that looked pretty. Everybody trying to convince me. Everybody trying to convince me to send them back so they can. At this point, if they get their social skills, because like one thing I benefited from going to school was developing my social skills, learning how to overcome stuff. It wasn't an education at all. It was mainly like vibing with the people and people that looks like me. That's the only thing. The only thing in black schools that benefit me was being around black people and being up to date of the black culture and stuff like that. Unfortunately, for my kids, the education don't represent them, and the schools that they go to not going to represent them.
So
It's
are they
going to
going to go
be,
back?
I don't know at this point.
What would it be your decision making? What would be the litmus test that makes you say, okay, I've tested this out and they're going to go back? Why would you send them back there? And let me ask you, any curriculum that you're using, which curriculum are you guys using?
I think all them curricula is the same.
No, not necessarily.
It's no good for blacks.
Our curriculum ain't nothing like what everybody else is using because we're homeschooling. So my question to you is, as the homeschooler, what are you using to educate your children?
Well, the homeschool that we got, she's not really technically homeschooling. It's more virtual. So she still have teachers
Right. No,
on
no,
it.
no. You're right. You're right. Yeah, they have the teachers that set up, but what is the curriculum that they're using?
It's the same curriculum that we've been learning. The Greeks, the same stuff. They give us the curriculum. It's not like we pick our own curriculum.
Okay, so they're not pure homeschool. They are using a curriculum that is state based.
They
Within
just
line with the state based. Okay, so see,
vertical
ours is a little different because they have the curriculum that I put before them. So
like for
their
example, Miss
social.
Lockhart,
So sorry, say it again.
for example, when my daughter came to me and said that, Dad, I don't feel good to be black and stuff like that. Black is
What does she
bad.
base that on?
Well, when she go to school, you know how you go to a black school, you have like 5 monks, probably a handful of whites, but the majority of the school, the public schools, majority of them black. Well, she's like that mom, those handful of whites now, where she got a handful of, you could count on one hand of the kids that look like her, and they weighed in different grades because the school go from elementary to 8th grade. She don't see herself. And not only that, when you go to school, you do want to socialize. And one thing I was afraid of, my kids growing up socializing with people that's not their ethnic group. Because even though we didn't get education when I was growing up, we got each other and the connection with our blackness. And that's what made me give their appreciation for my blackness. I won't doubt from how the way my kids have been raised up, they ain't gonna see, they're gonna be afraid of blacks, even though they are black. They feel more comfortable and safe with Euro, but they really believe that they want to be a Eurocentric looking. So
Where did they get that from?
because when she look at models and stuff like that, they either show white or real light skinned. And when they show black folks, it's usually be criminals, like black men usually be criminals and stuff like that,
They
or
were
a
showing
black
that at the
woman.
schools.
Yeah, they show that at the schools. So I had an issue, and that's why I took her out of school the first time.
But they're still teaching the same curriculum.
Yeah, because like when they was teaching her about rap, guess who they brought up? Justin Bieber and Eminem. Eminem and Justin Bieber. I said, that ain't no goddamn go rap. What? That some white people? And somebody had made a post a long time ago. They put up a white picture of Tupac. And they said in the next 50 years, they're gonna say this is what Tupac looked like. Eurocentric. So basically, one breath people say, yeah, you're doing a good job removing her from Milwaukee and they having a rough area in these schools, and you put her in a safe spot. On a second end, she is getting deprogrammed from her culture. And she gonna be, I wouldn't doubt, she gonna come up here with paint full of face. She gonna have this insecurity. I wouldn't doubt they'll bleach their skin when they get older, in order to run from their blackness.
So if you see
white
that,
man and to raise their kids, so they won't have to have the dark kids to go up through that stuff.
If we see that, then what do we do to change that?
I don't know what to do at this point, because there's not too many black folks that thinks like me. It's out the box. I wish I had more blacks out the box and look at the box, especially in my environment, my community.
That's fair.
I would have a different perspective. But since I'm by myself, I can't do this. I can't make changes me alone.
That's fair. I understand what you're saying. And so I hear you saying basically, hey, I'd like to make this better, but I don't know how. And I'd love for some guidance to come my way to figure it all out. I think that's what I'm hearing you say, that, this is how it is. And I just want things to be better. So I can respect that. And with the same stroke of the brush, what I would say then is there are several things that you could do. Several things. I mean, once you set up the daily curriculum for them, I mean, I understand you're using the school system's curriculum through this online chapter or online program you're using, but you could still show her beautiful women who look like her, who have attained great fame, as it were. You have Iman, who was a model from many years ago, who's still famous today. You've got Beverly Johnson. You've got other women right now who are still doing their thing. You have a lot of different individuals that you can enlighten them with to show them who they are and how beautiful they are. You see, here's my problem, and it's not just with you. I'm just saying in general. I have a problem with us having an issue, but looking at it as it's a done deal. There's nothing I can do. It's going to be what it is. Therefore, I
say I agree to that.
You know what I mean? It's like, therefore, we just give up. We just don't do anything. It's just, it's going to stay. It's going to be what it is. And that's it. Life is not black and white. It really is not. Not when you consider how many colors of the rainbow are inside of a box of crayons. You can take at least 10 of the crayons and come up with different ethnicities that match each one of them, right? My point is, there is beauty in all of us. And as parents, it's our job to make sure that those children realize who they are, the excellent lineage they come from. And that's for every child, for the Irish child, for the Spanish child, for the child who is American Indian, for the child who is, Greek. This is for all children. Why? Because like this individual who just got through saying to us before said, this is it. This is us. This is us, 99% versus them, 1% elites. Nothing is going to change until we see past all the division tactics. This is so important, that term tactics, and come together collectively. Tactics and collectively mean something. A very powerful statement. Very powerful statement. Because if we're constantly using the excuse that, oh, well, I can't fix this, I can't fix that, I can't do this, I can't do, well, it doesn't matter, we just have to give up. Well, that's just the system that they've got us in, and it's never going to change because this is the way that it is. And at the same time, we see the changes in our children that could be to their detriment for their future, and we run with the narrative of, well, there's nothing that we can do, we just can't fix anything. Well, they've already said that everything's stacked against them. Go ahead.
So basically, to put everything in a nutshell is that we live in a Eurocentric way, and we don't practice an Afrocentric, right? I don't see that much of Afrocentric.
So create it in your own home. You have to create your home the way you want it.
You get, when one person doing something, they would come off crazy when the majority is this way.
You know what? I was about to say the F-bomb. I was about to lay down the F-bomb. F the populace, man. I'm going to be real with you right now.
No, because
I don't care what the populace is doing if it's showing it's killing us.
I don't want my kids to be isolated and very crazy because they the only one practice this lifestyle.
Okay, so then embrace the Euro.
Embrace it. The only way I could embrace it is moving back to the ghetto, which would comes with other obstacles because they not, educated. They not Afrocentric educated either. They just being them the Euro way, right? But now somebody said, shout out to Q Butter. I try to put her in Q Butter school, but Q Butter, I guess you got to take up some classes for homeschooling and stuff like that. And then it was like these steps that I had to do. So, but I'm gonna look back into that because I was about to put her in Q Butter school, but it was a whole bunch of stuff that I had to do, and then then you had to pay a certain amount of money up front, and I didn't have it, and then she had to get in school like instantly before they start giving me fines and stuff like that, or try to take me to jail. In my situation, I couldn't have that. So, only thing I'm saying is, I think that God put it in my mind and my heart to have this voice to be on the internet. It's a reason why I no longer see interest, even though I know that we need money with stuff like that. But I'm using it's getting to the point where none of that stuff really excites me no more. I'm just doing it. I'm just rolling with the punches. I'm just flowing with it, right? I don't think a lot of money gonna make me or me and my kids happy per se. It might get us in different places, but when nature is you should always be attached to happiness. You shouldn't have to live in no mansion and say, okay, I'm happy. You shouldn't have to drive no Mercedes to say, okay, now I'm happy. You shouldn't have to go to a Eurocentric bank and see numbers and say, now I'm happy. That means the Eurocentric way of living hold your liberty into their hands. Eurocentric dollar, the Eurocentric car, the Eurocentric house controls your autonomy. There's so many Afrocentric people who do not feel good about themselves unless they ran a designer outfit. They won't even come outside until they got enough money to buy a Eurocentric designer from top to bottom. They won't even come outside. Their confidence is attached to things. They can't walk outside naked because if they come out naked, let alone not just physically naked, but if they come on the internet naked, as far as like being who they naturally are with no mask, they're afraid to do that because they attach themselves to titles, to names, to rooms, to bank accounts, to all of this that don't hold no substance of who they are. Guess what, y'all? I done seen a lot of rich people. That stuff old. It's boring. It don't do nothing. Okay, you rich. You finna do what rich people do. You gonna go to Johnny Depp. No, not Johnny Depp. Jacob the Jewelry. You gonna get you some gold, some diamonds. You finna go to the Lamborghini shop. You gonna order your Lamborghini. We already know you looking for some land to go buy you a little mansion to stun on all the poor people, right? And then you gonna come on social media, take all these little perfect shots, even though you don't even know this man that you with. You can't stand him, he can't stand you. But it just makes sense y'all be together since he got money, right? So you're gonna take these fake smiles and take all these glamour shots in reality and wear all this makeup. In reality, you take that makeup off, you is flat. You like the shook up soda. You don't have no bubble in you. These people are lifeless that comes on here. They don't have no unk about them. And money can't do it. Money ain't gonna be able to give you that. Love and family and nature do that. Experiences. Social skills does that. Going through stuff does that. When being able to live in your own skin does that for you. A lot of times, a lot of us is depressed and stuff because we're not afraid to accept who we are. We're not afraid to accept who we are. We okay with putting us on a back burner to be a people pleaser. That's all we became. We're a people pleaser. Majority of Afrocentric people in America, we are people pleasers. And we demons towards each other. We fascinated when we see other black people lose out or fail. Or nowadays getting deleted or go to jail. We fascinated with that. So I don't want to run on with that was just on my mind.
Yeah. Well, we're going to switch reels, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who have been with us for the past couple of hours, I do appreciate all of the wonderful, thought-provoking input that we've had. And we are going to look at a couple of other things as it relates to stuff that's going on right now in our world. We're going to focus on one state in a series that's going on with the with Headlines with a Voice Lockhart perspective. There is a series and it's America's Most Toxic Places. And this episode, we are starting with that of Louisiana as well as California. So I want you guys to follow along with the channel because this is something that we are definitely going to look at. And we're going to check out all of the places that are toxic. The first video that I'm going to share with you is dealing with Louisiana and Carson, California. Well, for those of you who don't know it or not, you don't know it, I was raised in California, and I was raised in Carson. I went to Banning High School out of Wilmington, and then Carson, Wilmington, as well as San Pedro were all sort of nestled together. And Baton Rouge is where my stepmother is from. And so we are going to look at this video, and I want you guys to pay close attention and let us know what you think down below in the comments. Do you think that this is something that's orchestrated? I believe that Jay Prince will be able to appreciate this because to me, it seems like he's already got his finger on the pulse with this right here. This comes with quantifiable evidence, and we're going to get right into it. So I want you guys to listen, let us know what you think, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about it after that. The following is dedicated to my friend and predecessor, Bettina of San Pedro, California, my stepmother, Essie of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and my mom, Ty Karim of Carson, California, who passed away of breast cancer in 1983. She was 35. Imagine waking up every day in your own home, breathing air that slowly poisons you. That's not dystopian fiction. That's the lived experience of residents in Louisiana and California who live in the shadow of industrial giants. These communities, many of them historically Black or low income, are situated near some of the country's most toxic corridors. And while the government should be stepping up to protect them, recent actions suggest the opposite. In April of 2022, the United States Environmental Protection Agency launched a Title VI civil rights investigation into potential racial discrimination in Louisiana's permitting decision. At the center of the probe was Cancer Alley, the stretch of the Mississippi River Chemical Corridor between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, spanning 85 miles. This corridor, home to a dense cluster of petrochemical plants, disproportionately affects majority black neighborhoods. Among the most alarming examples cited was the Dinka facility in St. John the Baptist Parish, where emissions of chloropene, a known carcinogen, were so high that an elementary school had to be shut down for the children's safety. Yet, despite the compelling evidence, the EPA abruptly closed its investigation June of 2023, stating it would take no further Title VI action. Why? Not due to a lack of environmental harm, but because Louisiana's own state officials filed a lawsuit questioning the EPA's authority to investigate racial disparities in permitting. Meanwhile, California tells a similarly haunting story. The California Cancer Registry, a state run population based database, has tracked cancer rates since the 1980s. A 1992 Department of Health Services report revealed that refinery adjacent communities in Los Angeles County, places like Wilmington, San Pedro, and Carson, ranked among the highest in the state for breast and lung cancer incidents. These tracks sat in the shadows of refineries dating back to World War II, while female lung cancer rates in California saw a modest annual decline of 0.6% between 1988 and 1997. The damage had already been done in the decades prior. So, what do these two regions, one in the deep south and the other on the west coast, have in common? Both Cancer Alley and the West Catalyst Corridor are saturated with chemical petroleum infrastructure, and in both places, communities of color suffer the most. The patterns are disturbingly parallel: increased cancer rates, weakened air quality, and policy inertia. But here's where it gets worse. On June 20th, 2025, Congress passed the SJ Res 31, a Congressional Review Act resolution that repealed the EPA's once in, always in rule. That rule had previously ensured that major polluters remain subject to the most stringent air quality standards, Maximum Achievable Control Technology, or MACT, even after reducing their emissions. With this rollback, facilities can now downgrade to area source status and shed those stricter rules, increasing the risk of hazardous emissions like benzene and metals in nearby neighborhoods. Then came the big, beautiful bill, signed into law the week of Independence Day, 2025. This sweeping legislation gutted the environmental protections across the board, delaying methane enforcement by a decade, that's 10 full years, stripping toxic pollutant standards, repealing clean energy tax credits, and slashing the EPA funding. It effectively ties the hands of the regulators and hands the keys right over to the industry. These aren't isolated policies. They're part of a deliberate and dangerous trend. Together, these laws weaken oversight and invite greater harm to communities already at the breaking point. And while federal protections are being eroded, local communities are still fighting. For example, back in 2023, Louisiana advocacy groups Rise St. James, Inclusive Louisiana, and Mount Triumph Baptist Church filed federal lawsuits against St. James Parish Council. Now, the suit alleged that the council engaged in racially discriminatory zoning by allowing industrial buildup in black neighborhoods while denying permits in white communities. And at the heart of their case was Formosa Plastic's $9.4 billion Sunshine Project, a massive complex in an already overburdened district. In November of 2023, that case was dismissed by a federal judge, but not because there wasn't enough evidence, but on the procedural timing grounds. Still, those plaintiffs persisted because this year, April 9th of 2025, the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously reversed the dismissal, allowing the lawsuit to proceed. The court affirmed that the plaintiffs had standing and that the claims deserved to be heard. So here's the truth. Whether it's Louisiana or California, these communities have spent decades under a literal cloud of industrial pollution. And now, just as science and local organizing begin to reveal the scale of harm, lawmakers are choosing to roll back protections. You can't fight what you can't see, but the data reveals the truth. People have died. Families are still breathing this in. This isn't a partisan issue, it's a human one. And we speak not to cast the blame, but we speak to shine the light, because silence is complicity, and the fight for environmental justice is a fight for life itself. I am Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective. So you see there by the first, the pilot actually of that series, where we're going to be going all over the United States, and then we're branching out to the world, dealing with the disparity, which is, as we can all see, whether you have gone through the mountains of evidence that I went through before putting that together, or you've just heard about it, as some have mentioned in the chat. These are the things with quantifiable evidence in today's time. We can see they do have a lot to do with the community, the neighborhood, and the individuals who are in those neighborhoods who are melanated. I will use Carson, California as an example. We moved from the South and landed there in California. And the area that Bettina, the predecessor to Headlines with a Voice for me, as well as my mom and my stepmother raised and went back after she retired from Compton, a school district out there. She retired and she moved back to Baton Rouge. And when she did, she was not far from these plants as well. Now, she has a terrible breathing disorder that the doctors cannot put their finger on. It's not COPD, it's not this, it's not that. They've just given her a gentle term, and it's a diseased lung, not a lung disease, a diseased lung. So you've got her, then you've got my mom, who passed away of breast cancer at the age of 35. And we lived right there in that corridor. And then, of course, Bettina is from San Pedro, lived in San Pedro, passed away in San Pedro, and she passed of cancer as well. So without a doubt, this is not just affecting, people who are melanated, or people who are quote unquote Black, or people who are quote unquote Hispanic. These are situations that are affecting people who are of those ethnicities that I just mentioned, but also of lower income. Right? Because when I was growing up, we went to school with Samoans. We went to school with Hispanics. We went to school with whites. We went to school with, obviously, people who look like us. These areas are those that don't necessarily make the $1 million, paychecks, although now some of their homes are worth that much if they were to sell them, only because of the, price of real estate in California, but they're certainly not making $1 million, right? These aren't superstars and all that other stuff that's out there in California. These are just regular people, everyday folks like you, like me, that get up and go to work all the time, get up, pay their bills, try to do the right thing. These things have affected them there. And the corridor that is mentioned, which they so terribly called Cancer Alley, is not just that 85-mile stretch. It's closer to 158 miles one direction and that 85 another direction. And let's top it off. It's not just the 150 chemical plants. There are more than 300. They were touting the number 150 for the past several years. But when I did a little more research, I learned that the width was much wider, as well the number of companies that are pumping out all of this toxic waste into the air, emitting all of this poison to the children and to the families there, are in the numbers that are higher than 300. According to what you just saw there in that piece, there's actually a school that had to close down because of chloroquine. Now, the school had to close down, y'all. It didn't just, take a break. No, it shut down because of the excessive levels of chloroquine, which, of course, according to the piece and the research gleaned, shows that it is a known carcinogen. So these are the things that I feel, in my heart of hearts, is something that all of us can look into, that all of us have people who have been affected by these types of things. Again, because it's not really, when you really, really, really boil it all out the pot, every inch of the water, it's really not even a Black situation. It is it's a poverty situation. And of course, they are putting them in those communities because they feel like black folk don't say nothing. Quote unquote, black folk ain't gonna talk. Now, you guys may see the thumbnail on that piece. The thumbnail on that piece is an American Indian, because that is where the majority of them still are. And that is Louisiana. If all you got to do is, if you've ever gone to, well, what we call, it's not Carnival there, but it's definitely Mardi Gras, you will see the large Indian headdresses, because that's our heritage there. And by our, I do mean my father and his people, and my grandmother, and my people, and all that good stuff. That is our heritage. And so I do believe that it's a concerted effort to sort of wipe the original inhabitants out. And that's just my soapbox. Okay, that's just my soapbox. But nonetheless, I wanted to bring that out. And to Rasbo's point, yes, the big beautiful bill did gut a lot. I don't think a lot of people realize, unless they've had the opportunity to sit down and study it, they would not exactly know what's a part of that. What I do know is that there's a lot of individuals who've never, worked here, that are getting a lot of the money. A lot of us who do work, who have taxes that are taken out, we're footing the bill for a lot of countries. Jay Prince, what do you say before we go to our break here in the next few minutes?
Yeah, I really want to just shout out to Sandy Aaron. He says, "Sorry, Fee, just can't listen anymore. I suppose your guest would call me Eurocentric, and I feel like he hates me and all who happen to be born white in this skin suit. Can't listen to him. Love you." This I would tell him.
Well, she's actually, it's the lady, and her name is Sandy. She's one of my close friends. I didn't notice that until you mentioned it. But okay, I see it. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything negative, right? Here's my thing. Every time Afrocentric people want to do something for them for a change, it's always a problem, right? And it's always this guilt trip, right? It's okay for us to be Eurocentric. You know why they don't want to listen? She feel like it's a hate speech. I didn't say nothing hateful towards whites at all. I just said that we need our own. They got theirs.
Really, they don't. And that's the reason why I keep pushing the envelope with the way that I am. When you hear me say pushing it back to center, that is the main reason why I keep saying pushing it back to center. Because if we buy into what has been put out there and the propaganda that's been pushed in this day, we're definitely going to continue to be, and I'm not talking about you, I'm just saying in general, because these things cannot be avoided. They are general terms. In general, it makes us a victim when we continue to say, well, this is what's going on. And somebody goes, oh my God, how do you fix it? Well, I don't think we can. Well, then we need to be quiet, because then we're now at the acceptance stage of grief. Now we're at the acceptance stage of grief. We can't fix it.
And continue to poison ourselves with this stuff. So my thing is, because it's a lot of Eurocentric people who probably feel like I'm saying a hate speech. Every time black folks want to do something for them, they always try to send us on some sort of guilt trip. I would say that, well, you need to turn on, if I had Sandy watching and listen to throughout from the time she born to up until the age she is now, watching hip hop, watching black movies, watching Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, she's not gonna want to hear that stuff. She's not gonna want to watch that stuff.
So whose fault is it that we digest it? But whose fault is it that we digest it, JP? It's our fault that we digest it.
What I'm saying. And she got a problem with me wanting to say, okay, you let Euro people have their stuff, but stop trying to force that stuff been forced through our throats. They don't have to live and listen to black music all day long, or black education, or
so turn it off.
They got not even.
Turn it off. So we turn it off.
She's not going to be understanding of what I'm saying, because all her education is Eurocentric. She is a European, right?
No, she's not.
All of her knowledge, God, is Eurocentric.
Look here. Let me stop you. I have to stop you. And I'm going to stop you. Because when we begin to generalize people based on a comment that they said, especially somebody who is one of my closest friends, okay? You're a close friend, she a close friend, but I ain't going to fake the funk and pretend like I don't know her. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is tell you that when we begin to make assessments of an individual based on what we think they look like, that's part of the problem. Now you're feeding into the machine. And you don't know nothing about that lady right there. Hey, let me tell you something. You can be further from the truth.
I'm going off the comment.
Okay, but listen, this is what I'm trying to share. That when we continuously push the narrative that it's an us against them situation, you've got to continuously go right back to that comment, because that right there is what brings you to center. If you understand that divisiveness can only be promulgated by those
Sometimes
who have power. Hold on, let me finish, please, because this is imperative, and it's not just for those who are in here with us right now. It's also in clarity for those who may come along in the replay on either channel. I have to say this. When we decide to bite, chew, swallow, digest, regurgitate a narrative that has been put in by our captor, and by our, I mean the human race collectively, then we become a part of the machine that is the problem. This gentleman just said something that is so fact-based, and you cannot get any more finite than this. This is a us 99% versus them 1% elites. Nothing is going to change until we see past all the division tactics and come together collectively. That's the one thing I want you all to see, is something that's so funny, because I remember that TV show. Everybody and their mama was running out, sitting in front of the TV, whether it was with popcorn or Cheez-Its. And they all sat there and watched individuals of totally different backgrounds had to come together in the movie or the TV series, The Walking Dead. Now, I know this seems like something very, minute, but the CDC did put out what to do in case of a zombie apocalypse. I'll hold a pencil there. My point is that when it comes down to the rubber meeting the road, you will find yourself having to link arms with individuals that don't necessarily look like you, but because of the circumstance that you are in, they are the same as you, and that they are a victim as well. Don't you think that the individuals that are in here that don't look like you and me went to schools and they were lied to and told that there was a transatlantic slave trade? Don't you think that they think all of us come from Africa because the school taught us we came from Africa? My people ain't from no Africa. And for those who are, that's great. My people were taken advantage of by the very same government that you are talking about. I've got to finish this. When they allow people from Ireland and use those people from Ireland who were slaves, brought them here, gave them our land in the South, of which this woman you're referencing is also Cherokee, right? Gave them the land, and then had our people teaching them how to farm the land. And then when they were done, allowed us to come back to our land and become sharecroppers and make money off of our own land that they done stole. So this is a European issue, but it is a Rome issue. If you don't understand Rome and their need to dominate the world again, then we will never understand exactly what's going on.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lockhart. I'm not interested in trying to gather in what JM's saying. I'm not interested in that at all.
I am, because he's making a great point. Yeah,
because we are the ones that's losers, not them. Right? They gaining a lot because everything around them is Eurocentric. They connects to. I'm not interested in this. At some point, you have to divide. And if anybody got a problem with black people want to divide to get their own information, well, they can screw themselves. I don't care who it is. You is not going to guilt trip me because we got to do something for ourselves first. We've been connected been together with them. This is the reason why we so Eurocentric now.
But you just said you don't have a plan for your own household, with all due respect.
at the end of the
you
day,
don't have a plan for your own
I'm
household.
not going to continue. Even if I don't care if I don't got no plan. But my plan definitely ain't going to be sitting up there operating with something that steady hurting me. Ain't nothing benefit for no blacks to be Eurocentrified. I don't care who don't like it. If anybody got a problem with that, that's something they got to deal with for themselves. You'll never convince me that I got to sit up here and not divide myself to get connected with my Afrocentric. Let them come to the
that. Then do that. Do that. Divide yourself.
Let their whole life be surrounded and yielded around Afrocentric way of living. Then, if anybody got a problem with that, they fucked up, not me.
I beg to differ, in all due respect. I do believe that you are as well. Because if you feel like the world has to bow down to the Afrocentric mindset simply because of what Rome has done, I don't bow. I bow to no one but Yah.
No, but what I'm saying,
I bow to no one but Yah.
I'm saying for black people,
I bow to no
separate
one.
themselves and get something from knowledge yield towards more the Afro side. We done spent so many 400, 500 years our American side. We are called African American. We done spent 500 years practicing Americans. Now it's time for us to get to the African side.
But what is the African side? Are you African? What tribe is your family from in Africa?
No.
Where are your people from in Africa?
It don't matter. I don't have to have no set destination to know that we are Africans. I don't have to have no set destination.
I'm not an African. What country in Africa are you from?
West Ghana.
What country in Africa are you from?
I just said my dad and family from Ghana.
And what part of Ghana?
West.
And what is their belief system?
They're the Gullah Geechees.
Hold on. Okay. And that's very awesome. Maybe they're from South or North Carolina or Virginia. But here's my question. What is the belief system of those people?
I don't really know the belief system.
Let me ask another question. When did you find? Yes, sir.
Lockhart, because at the end of the day, you're not questioning our Eurocentric side, though.
I'm gonna finish asking this, if you don't mind. Let me ask you this.
I don't want that to be critiqued because that you just trying to make fun of that.
I'm not making fun of anything. If you know who your people are, you know who your people are. That is an important thing. That's important. That's
what's important that we need to stop practicing. What need to be questioned is why is we black and we operate with this Eurocentric perspective.
Okay, so let me ask you, what are you doing to change it?
Outside of that get questioned, that get mocked at. I'm not gonna let you do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just so you want to protect this Eurocentral shit. I don't want to do that no more.
Yeah,
it's boring. They don't represent me. It always represent my niggas.
Exactly.
We're not Eurocentric. We've been practicing that shit for 500 years.
500. Wow.
Yes, and I'm no longer interested, and I'll hear you or nobody up there mocking and calling that out.
Well, I'm not mocking you. I ain't mocking you. I think it's awesome that you know where your people are from. What my point is that if you know where you are from, then teach your children everything from the place that you are from.
No, I'm not. I don't know. Even though we don't know, I'm trying to get to know my African side. If anybody got a problem with that, they're just using that to manipulate us, to keep us trapped and keep us surrounded in this Eurocentric shit. They don't do nothing for no black kid, no black man, no black woman. It don't do nothing for us. It's keeping us in bondage.
And what bondage are we in today?
We speak a Euro language. We speak
I can't continue to have the live go in this direction because that's not how I rock. But if we want to have an intelligent conversation, we can.
Okay, I did.
No, we need to have an intelligent conversation. Everything you're saying is important.
Because I keep getting cut off.
Because I need you to hear that we can't have this loud.
Time for us to shut up.
No, you can say what you need to say. I just need for us to tone it down some because I do not need the live to get flagged knowing that you have valid points. Let's talk about our points, but let's talk about them in a respectful manner. That's it.
I no longer is I don't think it benefit no blacks to continue with this Eurocentric belief systems. We got a Euro, we speak a Euro language. We worship a Euro God. Our currency is Eurocentric.
You're
Our
right.
education is Eurocentric. It don't represent us
You're
at
right.
all. Our history come from Euro people, one-sided story. We never learned nothing from our African side. Nothing. We heard it from Euro people.
That's for
I
those
don't
who
know
are
in
African.
our
That is for
benefit.
those who are African, right? And then those who are Native American or American Indian, they don't know their side either. And then for the people who are here who have been force fed, the
And that's why.
The Eurocentric part that may be Naga from a part of India, they're being force fed as well. And then we've got people who are from Greece who are being force fed as well. Then we've got people from the Bahamas, they're being force fed as well. And then we've got the Jamaicans, whether they are Indian Jamaican, whether they are brown skinned Jamaicans, they are being force fed as well. Then we've got people who are Nigerian that were born here and they're being force fed as well. So, my God, it looks like we have got a lot of victims and we are all angry and we are all upset. But for those of us who have made the decision to say, I know who I am, let me teach my grandsons and let me teach my children who we are, that allows them to have some pride and walk with their spines erect and their shoulders squared so that they don't act like the savages that these people have told the world that we are, when they, in fact, if we're looking at Rome, if we're looking at Caligula Caesar and all the other Caesars, if we're looking at every one of the individuals that come from Rome, we're not going to be a savage like they are. But the most important thing is, in order for me to be able to see with all clarity, I got to be able to recognize a victim when I see one. And if I see a victim and I know who they are, I'm going to embrace that individual because I know that we were all played. Every single one of us was played. I don't hate nobody. Now, I strongly dislike people who have treated me bad in the past. And that's whether they white, black, purple, or green. And if they listening, they know I mean them. So it does not matter that I've been treated poorly. The thing is that when the jig is up and I realize it, hey, that's all she wrote. You'll never get over on me again. It is important for us to understand that these things that you are mentioning is absolutely real. It's absolutely real. But at the same self time, we got to understand who the enemy is, baby. And it ain't somebody who's struggling to go to work every day just like you and me. It ain't somebody who is struggling just to pay their bills just like you and me. It is the one who has the pen, who is able to wield it one way or the other. It is the one that says, vote for me, I'll set you free. And they don't. That is your enemy. The enemy is the one who prevents the laws from helping those people, like what we just saw in Carson and in Louisiana and in other parts of this world. Smokestacks all over the place where you walk outside and don't even realize until you are 60 years old that the smell you were smelling was the tar from those stacks when you was walking to school as a little girl. Those are the individuals that we collectively are being prevented from putting our eyes on, because they know that all we got to do is make one person the victim and the other person look like the victor. And we're going to do the rest ourselves. They ain't got to do nothing. We'll devour one another.
Again, I hear what you're saying, but I think that the way my heart and mind is at is not into that no more. I'm not proud of being able to speak proper English. I'm not proud to be educated with their books. I'm not proud for me and my kids to have their education. I feel like we is forced that because they forced our hand. They forced us to accept this Eurocentric way by removing our Afrocentric way. I'm no longer interested in none of that. It's not prideful at all. I don't have no pride, and I'm not proud to be calling out. If I go to my God, it got to be the image of Jesus, not even just the image. The whole religion, the whole Bible is Eurocentric. Was given to me by Euro people. That type of stuff, I'm starting to have a major problem with, and I couldn't believe now that open my eyes and think outside the box now. I can't believe that us black folks, we done carried this stuff in for so long. We took so much away from ourselves. We took hundreds of years away from ourselves by accepting this stuff. We actually thought we wasn't smart or we wasn't intelligent unless the Eurocentric man stamped our diploma, call it and name it a degree. That's the only time we think that we are educated, when they tell us that we are, when they give us permission that we are. No, I don't believe them. That's giving them way too much power. We even said that the no drop rule was the white man was the no. We believed in the no drop rule. We give these people way too much power, and we just believe it. It's power within. It's one thing. It's one thing to not know where you're going. If I decided to divorce myself from this, but it's another thing. What's powerful, what I'm doing right now, is that's very powerful. I'm divorcing myself, and I'm acknowledging the stuff that been having me so sleep and blind, and forcing me to believe in this stuff and celebrate this stuff. Celebrate Christmas and all this, even though I'm still gonna celebrate Christmas because it's just something to do to get the people together. But I don't do it because of the Jesus stories or none of that. I don't do none of that. I didn't go to school for the education. I went to school.
Don't you feel that that's a little hypocritical? Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical if you know that it's
no? Yes and no, because that's what I've been programmed to do. Because majority of if I want to hang with my black folks, the majority of them gonna wake up with gifts on Christmas. So it's something to do. That's how we've been programmed. And me coming out with something new today, this is not how we've been programmed. We would have to have collectively a large number of Afrocentric people moving this way, and we start our own stuff. We don't have to wait 3 times out of the year to celebrate.
Well, you can do Festivus. It can be Christmas for them and then Festivus for the rest of us.
What is Festivus? Festival?
No, Festivus for the rest of us. Listen, folks, we're gonna pivot because we don't have much longer to go here on the show. But what we are going to do is to take a look at what happened this week when it comes to the whole entire list. Everybody is upset. Everybody wants Pam Bundy to be gone. Everybody is upset because the entire platform for this guy that everybody ran out and voted for in droves was based on the list. And there is no list according to the DOJ. There is no list. According to them, there are no individuals who were supposed to be setting up, none other than who? Does anybody want to put the name in the chat? Because his name has been on the tips of everybody's lips, everybody's tongue this past week. And it is none other than Epstein. I felt like as soon as we found out that Diddy was going to get this refrain or whatnot, that it would then come to this whole thing with him. And I really feel like that. So Trump again tried to dismiss the firestorm over Epstein's client list, and it did not go well. Why? Because in my impression, it was this guy who was pushing the topic of making sure that that list was exposed as soon as he took office. On top of making sure that the list was exposed, he was tantalizing all of the individuals who were going to vote for him by promising that there would be some justice. Well, another attempt by President Donald Trump to defend ally Pam Bondi and quell the uproar over the purported Jeffrey Epstein client list on July the 12th was roasted on his own Truth Social platform. Now, that platform, in case most of you guys don't know, is a platform that he created so that you could go there and have freedom of speech. And it looks like on this day, he wished that he was a little, I don't know, maybe YouTube-ish, that he could just strike him down with a pen, but that didn't happen. Trump's early evening post defended fellow Floridian, who is Ms. Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, whom the president said was doing a, quote, fantastic job in his perfect administration, which he insisted deserved accolades for securing the border, fixing the economy, and restoring energy dominance. And he also blamed selfish people whom Trump said are trying to, quote, hurt the administration all over a guy who never dies, he said, Jeffrey Epstein. But Trump's followers on Truth Social were not having it at all, and they accused the president of gaslighting, which was exactly what he was doing. And they insisted that his argument is not holding water, in a display of defiance rarely seen on that platform. Trump's almost 400-word social media statement, one of the lengthiest the president has posted on Truth Social, was yet another attempt by the president to end the controversy over the Epstein files. Days earlier, he downplayed the media question about the matter of dismantling it as old news. But anger within the president's base had only mushroomed, with some calling for the ouster of Bondi, who previously served 2 terms as Florida's attorney general and was on Trump's legal team during the U.S. Senate trial in his first impeachment. Now, here's a sample of the criticism being aired on Truth Social. Here's a quote, "You are losing too many in your base. Have an aide collect what we are saying all over social media. Pam Bondi has not been telling the United States the truth. Her story changed each time. Sir, you need to listen to the United States people. Are you aware how long and how hard many of us work to get to the truth? We refuse to give this a pass for us. This won't go away. This will and is about the children." Somebody else says, "Sorry, this is not holding water. Girls were used and abused by this man and many other men. They need to pay the price." I think it's very important to note one important thing, you guys, and that was that before he headed out, he did a little kick and a jab when he walked out, and that is Mr. Muskie. Mr. Muskie decided to say, "Hey, I know I'm leaving and I'm a little pissed when I leave, but y'all know what? Homeboy, Mr. Naranga, name is on the list. That's the reason why y'all ain't going to see it." And we do not see it. So now that we are switching over to this, I want to get everybody's information. I want y'all to tell us what you think. I want you guys to tell us how you feel about it. And I want to ask you, do you think that Pam Bondi is going to get the boot? I know I do, because there were several rumors swirling that she was about to get ousted. In tandem with that, we cannot have this conversation and not bring up the fact that Dan Bongino, who is the deputy for the FBI, who had a big brouhaha this past Wednesday. This past Wednesday, he goes out in a blaze of glory. He's upset. He's mad. He's angry because he said, "Hey, she mishandled this." No, she was on the same team that you guys were on. In the wake of this whole P. Diddy thing, somewhere along the line, somebody said something, and this thing got switched from "it's on my desk," because I remember everything. "It's on my desk right now. We're going to review it. We're going to look at it. We're going to see what's going on." It went from that to an immediate, "Oh no, I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up." She's going to get thrown under the bus. Roswell said she will definitely get thrown under the bus. And you want to know why? Because they need somebody to shift or pivot from. She's just going to be the person that they're going to pivot from. Now, listen, Bongino's decided, hey, this past Friday, he didn't even go to work. He stormed out of the meeting on this past Wednesday. Nobody saw him. And he made the majority of his career plain and simple, especially coming toward the latter years before this president was brought back into the White House. He made a great bit of money telling everybody that he had examined all of this stuff and that he knew that this was going to happen and that we better look out for this and that, and that, the great orange man was going to come in and make things fine, make things well, show things the right way. And it didn't happen. So I want to know from everybody right now, what do you think? Do you think that there is a list and people are simply saying there isn't so that they don't pour over who was on the list? Or do you believe that there's just much ado about nothing and that, I don't know, maybe they were right. The DOJ said it's nothing. It's nothing. Jay Prince, what do you think? I know what I think. And I think I just said it. What I said was what I said. I believe that, yes, the situation itself is going to end up very bad. Very, very, very bad. Um, and here's what I also think. I don't think that there's anything that this president can be held accountable for as it relates to public opinion. And you want to know why? Because this cat cannot be voted in against again. Here's what I do know. I do know that there is this quiet, hey, I do know that there's a quiet rumbling, JP, on the lower bottom. And there is a little bitty rumbling that people are saying, hey, we just found out the evidence that this past election, not the one we're in, but the other one, was tainted and it was messed with. And yeah, they're coming out saying that it was fake. So what does that mean if that was the case? Because the mainstream really doesn't know much about this rumor. But if that was the case, is this guy going to hang out again? Is that what he meant when he said the phrase, here's what I want you guys to know, that if you vote for me, you lovely Christians, you wonderful Christians, if you all vote for me, then yeah, all you got to know is you won't ever have to do it again. You won't ever have to vote again. And everybody was trying to figure out why. Now we get, under all of this rumbling, we get to hear that story that said that it's apparent that there was a great, massive amount of cheating and that election was not accurate. Now, you didn't hear any of that. And the reason why you didn't hear any of that or didn't read any of that is because they were inundating the airways with the remnants of Wendy Williams, with the totality of Mr. Puffy, as well as trying to get to the bottom of what was going on in the Ukraine, as well as us hitting Iran. All of that stuff came out at the same time. Go ahead, JP. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, so I'm glad we touched. So we touching on the Diddy stuff.
Within reason, yes.
Well, I was just on Tasha K, and like I said, I told Tasha K. Shout out to Tasha K. I felt as though Diddy was the only victim, and here's why. When you look at every successful black person, particularly black men, they usually get hit with one or two charges: some type of sexual abuse or physical abuse.
Well, we got to say essay on this channel, and I'm going to ride with these folks.
Okay.
What they rules are, baby, I'm rolling with these folks' rules.
Yeah, we got to ride with the rules. SA, right? So when you got a lot of money, and when P. Diddy was talking about opening up his own campaign to make a third party,
like Mr. Musk is. Mr. Musk is doing his own party, and he's an African American. He's not even an American citizen.
But he probably don't have the capital like Diddy, and by Diddy being here in America.
Oh, Elon Musk has more. I mean, he's like one of the top richest men in the world. Elon Musk has the capital ad nauseum. He doesn't need anybody to even donate to him. His particular party would definitely, and of course, what I see now, it's made of a lot of what are they called? Just the Indian Americans. A lot of people that are coming over with either visas or have become American citizens, I should say. So yeah, he's trying to fill his cabinet with those individuals, and he's got much more money than Diddy ever dreamed of having.
Yeah, I think Diddy got more of an influence. He speak to a lot of people.
Do you think that he still has that influence in light of the fact that he got his head busted wide open dealing with this young lady last year, paid this money, and it comes to find out, in my impression, she's actually the bad guy. I mean, I'm not saying he's a good guy by any stretch of the imagination. Right. I think he's a bad guy too. She's a bad guy too.
They both not really bad people. They were just living their fantasies with money. Their fantasies is similar to the everyday people. But the problem, this will make him a victim. When you become a certain class of a person, you cannot operate the same way. He felt like he could. He felt like he could still be the regular black guy, the regular specular guy. And you just cannot. You have to acquiesce to within reason. You can still be yourself, but within reason. Because now, although they say money gives you power, but also money brings you a lot of vulnerability. You're gonna have many people coming in and see what they can get by any means necessary. Those women that he was dealing with didn't have no allegiance to him. Not even Cassie. She didn't really have no allegiance to him. So, and then by you being a rich man, you living in a system where if you be accused for something, there's no consequences. If the person, like for an example, he got off with the Cassie stuff, she's not going to prison for lying. She's not going to jail. So it's an easy target. You become a major target when you become extremely rich. Majority of the black males who have been wealthy experienced it. We can name countless of names. They always either they get deleted, they get these abuse cases, or something like what Kanye, he got his money taken for opening up his mouth. So it's a certain way that you have to be. Now I'm kind of glad I'm the only man that spoke out and kind of defended him, because like I said before, he was more guilty of optics than actual evidence. And then public opinion is very dangerous, because now since we got the internet, one point they say women don't come out like this. They made that argument, but now since the internet, all these women decide to come out, and it's making it. If these women are lying like Cassie, it's making it extremely difficult for the people that's not lying. Right? It makes it real difficult at this point, because now we can say, well, this happened to Diddy, this happened to such and such, this happened to such and such. So now the actual victims not going to get believed because of this.
Well, let me ask you,
advantage of it.
As it relates to Epstein, who do you see as losing their job at the top? Because to me, I think Trump is really egging everybody on, making us believe that, you know what, she's a great gal, she's going to be wonderful. I don't see her as being around, and I see him as being the one that does the off with the head. Are you familiar enough with that story to chime in on that?
I'm not too much familiar with that.
Well, according to reports, there was a lot of situations prior to this gentleman taking the exit out. And according to the reports that they're saying is that the list that he had, which is a list that everybody was waiting for many years, especially since he's passed, they were expecting for that list to be something that was really going to change the narrative. It was going to let all of us understand why all of these stars were leaving the country and moving out of the country, and why all of these executives were, leaving their posts and no longer being the CEOs of companies. We were told over the years by whomever decided to pass the gauntlet of quote unquote truth, that this guy had a list that was as long as his arms put together, that there were several names of very influential individuals, whether they be politicians, whether they be, basketball stars, football players, coaches, owners of teams, to include, famous musicians and things of that nature, and politicians that are very well noted. A couple of times they said that there was a manifest that showed a couple of people's names on that list. So everybody who was dealing with Trump during his time of running for office, he was telling everybody that he was going to make sure this list was unclassified and that the list was going to show a lot of truth and all this other stuff. And right before the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, released the classified documents, we were told that it was on her desk, that she knew about it. But we were also told that after it happened, that there was no list. So now everybody's looking at her, but it's not her that's the problem. She's not the problem. She's going to take the fall for the problem, but she's not the problem. When Musk left this assignment that he had, he claimed that Trump had been on the list. So that's what I want to know. I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
I think Trump got something up his sleeves. I think he used a lot of people around him to get in the doors. I think that he had a mission to cut off a lot of people. He knew his intentions were when he got in office, and he played chess.
Everybody says that about him.
Yeah, he played a lot of chess. He promised a lot of people, and he actually came through with a lot of promises. But one thing about a businessman, you have to sacrifice something to get what you want. He didn't mind the little sacrifices that he was making. It wasn't too much of a big deal because now he got the backing and everybody was rocking for him. They said he was the best president that ever lived. So when people is talking like that, you know, you already know he got them food. And he gonna do what he wanted. I think Trump gonna do, and nobody gonna be there to stop him. He gonna do, you gotta keep in mind his age. A lot of people think because you become 80, you forget how you was, your upbringing. His foundation of who he were before he got to 80 years old is still implemented within him. And so when he say make America great again, he want to go back to when he was a child or 20 years old. And however that was. And whoever gonna step in the way of that, he gonna cancel them out. He using these people like pawns, bishops, and you know, like a game of chess. But at the end of the day, he don't mind sacrificing none of them, not even he don't mind sacrificing the queen. So in retrospect, he doing what a king does. He using these players for his benefit to gain what he want. Now, unfortunately, we're gonna feel the wrath of it. But this a game of chess. He been what a king. He doing what a king does. They heartless. They ruthless. You can't be compassionate when you the king. You cannot. You got to be willing to cut off your brother or your mama or stuff like that. So I think that Trump understands that. I think Trump didn't become rich being nice. I don't think you could become rich being nice. I think that you gotta have some blood on your heart.
Yeah, I just think that right now he's very immature. He's more immature than he was when he was in office last time. I think that right now he's sort of in a giddy situation because there's a lot of things that he has said and done politically and publicly that I don't agree with. For example, when we went in and we did what we did to Iran, that was very irresponsible. Natanz and all of the other reactors, you know, that was reckless. And tandem with that, it could have started World War III, but it's nothing to say that it may not still go on. The only point that I'm making is I think everybody that was involved were all involved together, including Iran. And I do believe that there's a great power shift that's going on right now. I don't see him as having the United States as his best interest. I do see that he is beholden to, you know, Bibi and everything else that's going on over there. And that's just the way that I see it. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing if that's who you are. I would have just preferred, you know, that he be, you know, square. Yeah, that just, you know, be square with the people of America and tell them, hey, when I get in, I'm not going to do nothing for you. And I really don't want you guys to see anything that has to do with, you know, Epstein, because, you know, you might come across a couple of photos of me. But let's get some live Israel updates right now. Al Jazeera is reporting that Israel kills 52 in Gaza City today alone. The residents of Gaza City state that bodies are lying in the streets of the Ziton neighborhood, and at least 54 people have met their demise in the city today by Israel. At least 95 people have met their demise across the Gaza Strip today. The number of starving Palestinian aid seekers killed by the Israeli forces has surpassed 800. And according to Gaza authorities, as malnutrition and starvation continue to grow. The family of Saifollah Musalat, the American Palestinian who was beaten to his demise by Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank, is calling on the United States to launch an inquiry and hold the perpetrators accountable. I'm sorry, I don't see that as happening. I don't see that as happening. Nonetheless, the Israel war on Gaza has killed an estimated 58,026 people, and it has wounded 138,520 people, according to Gaza's health ministry. An estimated 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the October 7th attacks, and more than 200 were taken captive. There's also a warning dealing with food shortages in that region. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has warned that food shortages in Gaza are pushing children to the brink, and many could meet an untimely passing. Here's a quote for the UNRWA. Teams continue to deliver health care in Gaza, but medical supplies blocked by the Israeli authorities are urgently needed, the agency said on a post on X. Left the siege, let the UN, including the UNRWA, save lives, close quote. The UN and its agencies have for weeks been pleading to be allowed to operate in Gaza, something that Israel's army has barred them from doing. So what do you think? Do you think that he's a little beholden to Bibi and everybody? And if so, why?
Do I think what now?
Do you think the seated president is a little more beholden to what's going on across the water than what's going on here? I don't feel that he's really in touch with exactly what's going on. And let's not forget, he's continuously touting this thing saying, hey, the economy's doing great. He sounds a little reminiscent of Pawpaw, who just left. He sounds a little reminiscent. Oh, everything's going okay. Everything, Mrs. Wiggins, everything's going okay with the economy. Everybody's bouncing back. You can't bounce back from this.
Yeah, so I think, how could I put this? I think he's concerned about America, but not really. I think that he want to dib and dab. I think it's some big businesses across the globe. And again, this is a businessman. He understand. He know what he gonna do for America already. So I don't doubt that Trump won't do nothing. Well, looking what he doing now. I think that since he got in office, the first term was different because he get his foot in the door. Now this is second term. He trying to get everything that he can imagine. That's why he changing all of this stuff within a few months. This man done did many stuff, right? Because he trying to hurry up and get stuff done. So I think when him talking about the people overseas and dibbing and dabbing over there, I think America plays a part. I think American have their foot in all of these countries, and they gain from it. And they want to take control of it.
So just it's like really, I want to ask you a question because you just said something. I want to ask you here. I want to put a pause there. You said that, America wants to take, basically over everything. Don't you see who is running this country?
Yeah, I think he'd be the guy that would do it.
No, who's running this country? When you mention this country wants to go every place and tell everybody what to do, that means that Rome is running this country, because Rome is that same group who is nefarious, who, unlike most people, are on track constantly like a heat-seeking missile. They set their target, they put their agenda together, they assign each individual that's supposed to take care of each portion of the agenda. Those individuals don't get in others' lanes. They ride their lane out to fruition, and they collectively do their plan. When I think of what you just said, it just brings me back to center. And that is, this is that. This place is the place that everybody has taken allegiance, from senators, congressmen to. They've taken the allegiance to it, and it's just ever present when you see us having the Noahide situation, when you see us going into other areas and arenas that we probably shouldn't even be dealing with. It's just ever present.
I think that Trump was one of those guys before he became president, used to complain about how stuff was running. And he probably told himself he was going to run for president one day. And all of the complaints that he had, unfortunately, some of them was probably was biased to certain cultures and certain groups. I think he's real interested in that. And so what I noticed, what America does when they want to do something that's unmoral or unethical, they will create all of these fears amongst the Americans. And like when he was running for president, he was telling us all of these fears about these other countries. His focus was just about outside of America. His main focus, and people voted him in because he redirected people interests instead of focus on what's going on here. He redirected everybody to be focused on these other countries and stuff like that. And how he ended up doing that, he put a lot of fear, saying that they're gonna basically attacking us or something happened, or he acted on our emotions, made us feel sorry for different countries. He talked a lot about Ukraine and all of this other type of stuff. And so that gave him, that's what he told us. So they gave him this hero badge, right? To say, okay, I'm going to be the hero. And really he going in there butting into people business and being an instigator and being a bully.
That's the Flavians.
Right, exactly.
That's all of Rome. That's their MO. You know what I mean? It's like they have the same modus operandi all the time. They do. I want to ask you a question. What did you have that you said was going to be a surprise? I want to hear it, and I want to hear it now. You said, I want to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I want to hear it.
That was going to be, oh, okay. I really, because I would have to show the videos of it.
That's fine. Go ahead and put it here.
Really?
Yeah. Well, what is it?
I want to address Anarchy Television. He said, when it comes down to any famous people.
Well, I don't really like talking about the chat because you know what? It messes up my clips. Flow. Yeah, I don't really even, the only people that we even, and just so everybody knows, the only folks that will actually hear their name mentioned, which is the whole reason of a super chat, is the super chat. Once those super chats go up, we really appreciate you. We appreciate everybody. But the super chats, we read those because that is the difference, right? When a sponsor says something, we want to make sure that they're heard. And so in all fairness, we allow everybody to chat because we didn't make it a members only chat or a subscribers only chat or anything like that. But to make that a delineative difference, I've just decided here, Unlock Our Perspective and Headlines, to make sure that we are noticing those individuals who took the time to help to support us. And we appreciate your support by hitting the like button. We appreciate your support by sharing it out. We appreciate your support because, look, let's just be honest. Right now, everybody don't have it. And if you got $1 and you want to give $1, we'll take it. But everybody doesn't have $1. Everybody doesn't have, people just came up paying their bills. This is the 13th. They're just now getting breathing room before they have to ramp up and do it again on the 1st or the 10th or whatever. So, that's the main reason why we make sure that we acknowledge everybody who puts their chat up, and they are the sponsors of the show. They are who keeps me able to buy printer paper, or, JP able to do what he does. So you allow me to buy the printer paper. You allow me to buy the toner. You allow me to, make sure that I can take care and pay StreamYard. That's now $44 a month. You guys do that. And so that's the reason why I make sure now that we are taking you and putting you in the place of the, sponsors of the show. And so we appreciate that. But I try not to read any of the comments because you know what? People have freedom of speech here. And when they make a comment, it could be something that I don't agree with. And a lot of times in my past, I've made assessments based on what I saw in a comment, and I would just take these long diatribes on what a person said in the comment, and they're just somebody that's expressing their own feelings, right? So that's the reason why I try not to look at the comments, because when I'm doing these clips and cutting them up, it prevents me from being able, there's some of the shows that I can't even put up because there's so much like this right now. I'm going to have to cut this piece out just so that we can upload it and put it in where people who are coming in to see it afterwards are going to be able to watch it in a palatable fashion. So with that said, I do want to know what you had as your secret, because you did. Yeah, you had me waiting.
Well, that type of surprise, after, because we want to get upload content, especially the flow of things on where we was going. I think that would throw everything off negatively. Not to say it wasn't something intriguing, but I don't want to take us back there, because I'm kind of interested in this political conversation too, as well, especially like with the Diddy stuff, the Trump, Trump freeing everybody and stuff like that.
He was a friend of Diddy. I've got scores and scores and scores of pictures with both the seated president and Diddy. Scores. And I've got scores.
I didn't know they were best friends.
Oh my God. I have scores of pictures with the two of them together from many years ago, all the way up to having the pictures with he and Epstein. So I see this as being something that is really not for it's not for anybody to get involved in and be angry. It's not for anybody to get involved in and take a side, because it's part of the shit show.
What do you think about getting free?
It's part of the shit show that is politics. And if you don't realize, as you as a whole, you as in general, if you don't realize that it's a shit show, then you're going to argue with others. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that, well, no, I believe in this one and I believe in that one. Man, these are all people who put on their trousers, all things being equal, one leg at a time, unless they're laying on their back and pull them up. These are all people who, all things being equal, if they're really human beings, I don't know. Some people would say, opposite of that. But these are individuals that are just people. And so I don't put any weight on any of these folks. I don't vote because I belong to a different kingdom. I belong to the kingdom of the Most High. Okay. And so that kingdom is what takes care. His kingdom takes care of me. So I don't get down with me having to have a king. I understand that now. I didn't understand it when I was, staunch, conservative, or just staunch, red, white, and blue. If you cut me, I bled red, white, and blue because I loved the country. Yeah, you will become a person who's enamored of the place that you grew up, especially if you've traveled abroad and you've lived in other areas and you've seen how other areas live. You've seen their rules and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, you'll become beholden to the place that you're from. But as I have grown and as I have expanded and began to understand, I see that this ain't my house. This ain't my home. This is these people's house. And because it's these people's house, I let them rock it the way they want to rock it. They can put up, they can put up sheer curtains if they choose to. It ain't going to be no sweat off my nose. They can go on ahead and change the comforters throughout each and every bedroom if they choose. They could all put on rucksacks and rock those when they go and have breakfast. None of that matters to me. I don't care about anything that they got going on. And then there'll be somebody that say, but you got to care because it has everything to do with you. No, I don't. All I need to do is put my trust in the Most High. Period. I put my trust in him and I believe him what he says to me. And you know what? He's never led me wrong. He has never led me wrong. He's never led me astray, ever. And because of that, that's the reason why I deal with things the way that I do, because I choose not to have this conflicted, paranoid, schizophrenic type mindset that would have me having a king and having the creator of all. I choose the creator as opposed to this king mindset. Once you start getting into that king mindset, see, a king gotta be everything to everybody. Yah just is. You can like it or leave it, love it or lump it. What he says is what he says. What he means is what he means. So you can take it or leave it. I like somebody who's like that. I don't want a yes person. That's not what I want. I don't want somebody who just.
So you're not mad at me then because I wasn't a yes person.
I don't think there's anything. Here's the truth about the matter. I don't think there's a problem with anybody who stands, up for what they believe. But because I,
matter though.
you know what I'm saying? Because I think the way that I think, And because I will dissect something until you cannot dissect it anymore, because I believe in getting down to the least common denominator, right? People can't be mad at me for that, because I'm going to only connect the dots after I have totally deconstructed something. When I totally tear it apart and then bring it back to you, don't get mad at me, because I tell you right now, you might get upset, because I'm not about to sit here and play. If I can see exactly what something is, I don't have nothing to do with it no more. I'm not going to have nothing. If something is terrible and it's bad for me, I'm not going to have nothing to do with it. I'm just not. And there's no way anybody is going to try to convince me to live a life that's totally opposite of what I know that I should live. Period. So that's the reason why I said what I said. I don't need no king. And there are a lot of people who do need one, and that's fine. For individuals who need a king, then choose him.
So you don't believe that God is the creator, then he sent man for woman to follow?
What?
So you don't believe that God is the head, then God created man for women to follow? You don't believe that?
I never said that. I believe that we have a creator who created us, and he is a God of order. I believe that he is that he is a God of order, and that he does not do things unseemly. I believe that he does things in a fair and equitable fashion to his liking, not to what people think is fair. You see what I'm saying? So I believe that there is an order. I believe that, yeah, me personally, I do have a head over me. And I believe that the head of the man is the Father, is our heavenly creator, the one who created us all.
So
I
who's
don't
the
believe.
man?
Say again.
What position is the man? What would be the position of the man then? Would he be side of you, below you, or above you?
Well, of course, listen, you know what? I want to say this, and I don't care who likes it or dislikes it. I don't believe that, my job is to be above my husband or be above the man that I've been assigned to. He may make a lot of mistakes that I don't appreciate or don't like, because he's a human being and I don't like to rock with a lot of that type of stuff. But for the most part, I believe that a woman is supposed to be subject to her spouse. That's just me. Now, if you don't believe that, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? If
What
people don't
is a
believe it,
king
that's
though?
cool. Huh?
What is a king in the role of a king?
When I think about a king, like like a president or like a king of a nation or whatever, that is a human being that's being put up to lead and to rule his kingdom, right? I just don't agree with me having that. I believe that if it's a president, that person is considered a king. That person is considered a king because he is the one who is the ruler and all that other stuff. I
So Donald
choose
Trump would be a
just to
king.
follow. Well, I believe that he's turning himself into one. Certainly, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that by making some some pretty bad decisions or whatnot, that he's done that. Yeah, I do. I do.
Could every person pick their king?
When you say that, what do you mean?
Like, let's say, like you say, you don't believe in him. I think because of who he is as a person. But I think if you'd have been a guy of your liking, like if he would exhibit certain traits and beliefs of your liking, I think you would probably accept him
Who,
as a
Trump?
yeah.
Oh, well, let's just lay it down here where the cows can get it, as one of my mods, Black Spring with Autumn's father, says. I campaigned for him very, very strongly his first go round. It wasn't until after he got in that I realized that there was some things that wasn't right. And so that is what part and parcel helped me make my decision. I first got off the Trump train, and after I got off the Trump train, I just decided, you know what, this whole thing's a circus. And so for me, I don't rock with it, period. And I came to that realization after already asking for the creator of all, for the Most High, to show me who he was. And when he showed me who he wasn't, I said, oh man, I'm done with all of this stuff. I'm done with all of this stuff, which is what helped me just to take my studying a little deeper. So with that said, you've got to understand that People want to believe in who they want to believe in. And each person believes in who they want to believe in until they graduate to the next level. And that's fine. For people who want to follow the president, they should, if that is where their level of knowledge and understanding is. If people want to follow Jesus, they should, if that is where their level of knowledge and understanding is. If somebody wants to study and, go after, become a Buddhist or become a Taoist or become any of those things, do what you do. Just make sure that wherever you are and whoever you are, that you are in the correct house. Mm-hmm. That's it. Make sure you're in the correct house. That's all. Because you don't want to waste a lot of time being in the wrong house. If you've not studied and you don't really know who you are, and you don't know where your people are truly from, and you don't know what your belief system is supposed to be, you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So I think at this point, Trump can't be stopped. I think that we might just got to put our hands over our eyes and wait till the smoke is clear.
Well, for the preponderance of us, for the majority of us, we've all been covering our eyes and tucking our heads down. Everybody's been like, you get on that airplane and they tell you, okay, well, if this happens, then you're going to see the oxygen mask fall from above your head, put it over your face and put it over the person next to you if they're disabled or a child, and then tuck your head down. Your seat cover does this and pull that from under there and it becomes a floating device. I think all of us have been that way over the last 10 years. And here's something that I really want everybody to get and to understand. The issue that we are dealing with right now is a situation where we are all exhausted by the divisiveness, which is my main stance for taking the stance that I take. I take my stance because I don't want to get into all that divisiveness. I already know the tricks that's been played. But see, unlike a lot of my friends, the friend girls that I've had that I grew up with, I know who caused the divisiveness because I studied where the divisiveness started. See, in order for me to understand something, I got to travel all the way back. I love history. You know me, you know that I love history, right? I go all the way back through history and I say, oh, there it is. If you're following a thread, follow it. And as you follow it, you'll finally get to the place where you see where it began. Then you can fix the issue. You can decide, aha, this is not 100% cotton. It's acrylic, or it is, it's polyester. This stuff doesn't allow my skin to breathe. I don't want to have anything to do with it. So you chuck the whole thing out. Why would you keep it just because it's pretty? If something is not for you and you've traced it and you followed it and you find out exactly who it is, if the thief is found out, A, you got to pay back 7 times, and B, you don't want to have them around you. Kick them to the curb. When you find out something and you know that you know that you know that you know it ain't right, you don't want no part of it, because even if you convince yourself to hang out with it, you are still wrong. How about them apples? Yeah. How about them? Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, we're going to take the last break before we head out of here. And as you already know, go eat. Hey, everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. All righty, we are back, coming up on the last few minutes of the show. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us for the past couple of hours. It's been a minute since we've actually congregated together here and hung out on Sunday, and I'm very, very happy. I hope that you guys are happy as well. For everybody who is visiting us today from Headlines with a Voice, I want to let you know that over the past couple of years, you may have noticed a couple of changes, and one would have been the banner. How we had the Headlines with a Voice banner, and now we have had the Lockhart Perspective banner over the past few years now. And we are now, to make sure that I'm able to come here and to bring you my 110% me, we have decided to put everything under one house. Here's why. When you are looking at the Lockhart Perspective, you're getting a lot more of my commentary. And I want you guys to really know me for me, right? I want you guys to really know there was a difference between Bettina and I. She was laser precise. And she had a lot of unbelievable stuff that was on the ball. But what I want to do is make sure that I can bring you 110%, quality content, and to make sure that I'm able to make sure that you guys have the videos that I'm putting right now. There are some that are on the membership tab. Please become a member. It's only $2.99. If you are a member over on the Lockhart Perspective, come on over to Headlines with a Voice and become a member there. If you are looking for Headlines with a Voice, you will have to look at the new tag, and it is at Lockhart Perspective without the word the. It's the only way they would allow us to change it. So you may or may not know that the Lockhart Group is an actual tangible thing. It is an LLC. It got a little rough for me to try to divide everything and run over here and then run over there. Then finally I just gave up. I'm like, I can't take it anymore. But now I think we're ready. What am I saying? What I'm saying is you're going to get the exact same top quality that we have done. I believe that it'll be better. You're also going to get some of the great deep dives and documentaries that I now have set up for you guys. All of my stuff that I love, everything that I love to do, everything from looking at, quantum physics, time travel, everything looking from anything science. What I love, you're still going to get that, but you're going to get more of it, and I'm going to be able to be dedicated to you. So, Headlines with a Voice, I appreciate all of y'all for being here. Just make sure that you look out for the total change. You will see now the thumbnail is the Lockhart Perspective. You will see that the banner obviously has been that way for a couple of years, Lockhart Perspective. The handle is at Lockhart Perspective. And after the 20th of July, the entire channel will be Lockhart Perspective, and the other channel will be retired. So with all of that said, I want to thank you guys for supporting me all this time. I so appreciate y'all. So what's going on in your neck of the woods, Jay Prince, before we pull out of here?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Lately I've been getting a lot of scrutiny. I think I ticked off a lot of people. And it's not saying that I did something to people.
Are you kidding? People would be upset with you? Why?
Yeah, I can't believe it. That I'm ticking off people. So people don't like the fact that working class citizens don't appreciate the fact that I'm on welfare and proud of it. And I come up here. It's not saying that I'm braggadocious, but they defend theirs for a long time. It's always been the talk down on welfare recipients. So now they got this welfare recipient that has a voice to kind of punch back. And I literally said something like, okay, I don't think no man in America, because I was asked, would you want your daughter to have a man on welfare? And I said, to be honest, since I'm on welfare now, I get to get the inside. And by me knowing men, I would say I would rather for my daughter to have welfare. And the reason why, because although essentially she needs a man, she needs a family and stuff like that. But one thing I know about men, when you give men that never had power, particularly black men that never ran nothing, never had power, and you put them in a position where he having power over my daughter and the kids, he kind of like played this game like, if I give you this, I got control. right? I know we supposed to live in life for what it should be. What it should be, the man take care of the family and everything be blossom, everything peaches and cream. But what it is, men usually use that as leverage to mistreat women. I have done it myself throughout my past, not so much, but I have done it. And I got a sister who just went through it. Luckily, I told her to go down there to the welfare, and now they gave her a 5-bedroom house. Before then, he was trying to kick her out. He was kicking her out the house with her kids. So, and I have seen that so much. And what the welfare could provide, no man in America could provide that unless he's filthy rich or unless he's rich. And that's like the 10% of men, 1% of men. So for the average Joe, I would say, yes, I would prefer my daughters to be on welfare. And if I want to stick to like black men, I don't think black men is adequate enough, including myself. It's not adequate enough when we have to go to the finance and stuff. This is besides what I was talking about earlier. That's something different, not even in place yet. But if we had to live in this life, I would prefer. Unfortunately, this is gonna take off a lot of black men. Yeah, I think welfare gonna provide more without the control, even though they control it in a way, but not like how the black man will. Right? But they, when my sister was going through that, he was putting her on the streets with her kids, and he was talking real tough and woo out the bam, and she didn't have to go through that with welfare. And welfare provided all of the benefits: health benefits, food benefits, housing benefits, electric benefits, water benefits, educate those little what's those classes where you get those little go to school to get like trade benefits, all types of stuff. So a lot of people have been mad because I'm proud that I get food share. And also when I want to go to the doctor, I get a ride home, a ride there, a ride back home. They send me a health card where I go to Walmart, spend like $300. And a lot of black men is unhappy with me with that. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in, and I can't judge you. What I can say is that if there are norms and there are mins and maxes that a person has to meet in order for them to qualify for those things, and they have qualified for those things based on the state or the governmental agency's guidelines, then that's something that they qualify for. And I cannot, I can't make a comment on that. I feel like, first of all, people won't know my business unless I tell them my business. And so if people know that I have a bunion on the right toe, which I don't, but if I had a bunion on my right toe and I don't want anybody to know that, well, I'm certainly not going to discuss my bunion, right? I think a lot of times when we're in the social media world, we get the opportunity to tell too much. Not necessarily that we're not telling our testimony, because everybody who is a member of Headlines with a Voice, Lockhart Perspective, or who's followed me, they know my testimony, right? But I tell my testimony to free the women and the men and children that I was called to free based on my testimony, right? So that's a totally different thing. But if there are personal items that I don't want people to know, I certainly don't share it in this forum, because I do consider it more like, like when I was in radio. This is more like a radio show. This is more like, it's quasi TV, because people are able to watch on their TV. So if there's certain things that I don't want people to know about me that are tender situations, I keep those things to myself. Having said that, having said that, in order for me to talk to you about this, I want to say that it's amazing to me, because now you've opened yourself up, right? And I feel like I can say this. I feel like some of the things that you're saying are very, not necessarily controversial, but very, hypocritical. Because
I knew you was gonna go there.
But it does. Here's why. I'll qualify that statement. Because if we are saying we don't want a part of the European system, we don't want a part of the Europeans' money, we don't want a part of the Europeans this and that, and at the same self time we can turn around and have our hand out to that system, then to me, I want to understand, and I think that's more one thing that I want to beseech you to explain to me how
Uh-huh.
these things are different, because to me they sound identical. They sound like this: I am a victim of this system that was
Uh-huh.
created, and now I'm going to take advantage of it. But please keep this one thing in the forefront. Letter A: if you don't want people to know the business or have an opinion, don't share it. And then
Right.
B: if a person is qualified for something, and a lot of people, know that you have, your 3 children that you are raising alone. You are not just a single man out
Right.
here that's going and getting this aid. You are a single man who works a full-time job, who has 3 children, and your situation puts you in a place, okay, based on their sliding scale, where you qualify for assistance. And if
Mm-hmm.
you qualify for that assistance and you're doing things legally, then you have a right to do that.
Exactly.
We can look at another situation where there were individuals who'd never put in, for example, on Social Security. And they were coming in the country, not only getting our Social Security that you and I work for to put in that, that whole big thing, but they were also coming in here getting disability Social Security disability, which means that not only are they getting what we paid for in our taxes put in on, uh, they came in the party and didn't put none in on it, and they got disability, Social Security disability. So we can look at this as a double-edged sword. Would I rather a person from this country who has put in, who is doing the right thing, taking care of their children, to make sure that their children are, fed, housed, and all that good stuff? Would I like to see them take advantage of it if it's at their disposal? Certainly I would. Do I want to see somebody come here from another country who's come in illegally in front of people who have waited for years to become citizens, and they take advantage of everything, to include high-rise apartments, high-rise condominiums in New York and California and different places like that? No, I don't want to see that. But to your question, I don't really have a dog in the hunt, because I ain't gonna step in and feed you. Everybody at this point right now is having a hard time taking care of what they got to take care of. So I don't have nothing to say about what you're doing. As long as you are doing things in a fair and equitable and a balanced way, and it is legal, then and you qualify, then I believe for those children, you need to make sure that you do everything that you need to do to keep a roof over their head. That's legal. And make sure that they are fed. And to most importantly, barring anything else, pour the love and the compassion and the kindness and the soft spokenness into them as young ladies that they deserve. Because in the future, you don't want to be going upside some guy's head for them accepting learned behavior that they gleaned from home in a relationship with a guy. Like your sister had to experience that unfortunate issue with this guy saying, get out. You don't want your daughters to have to experience that. But the most important thing is entrepreneurship, which I believe they are learning from you. I believe that it's important for them to learn how to be, self-sufficient, especially until they're married. And then when they become self-sufficient, they need to make sure that they've chosen correctly as far as who they're marrying. But as far as you doing what you're doing, I ain't got a dog in that hunt. But I'm just I lay it out there like I did. I don't have a dog in that hunt. As long as you're doing stuff that's right and that's legal, my friend, rock on. I don't have nothing. I can't help you. It ain't like I got thousands of dollars I can come and fleece you out every week, every month. I can't help you. So go head on. Kapop.
So
Fly,
here's
be
the
free.
here's the hypocrite part. I'm gonna tack on that. One thing I learned: it's okay to be a hypocrite.
Really?
Everybody does it. Here's how: you have Eurocentric people will come in the black community, even though they don't like blacks, they don't mess with blacks, they will delete blacks, but they will put up shops in black community to take their money. Right? It's a benefit. They will use blacks in any way possible, even to fill up their prison cells for their benefit. Same with the Asians, right? They don't mess with blacks, but they will put the nail salons. There's a lot of nail salons, beauty supply stores. You got the Indians. They don't mess with blacks, but they got all the gas stations, the stores with the old vegetables and fruits in it. They use it for their benefit. We got the clothing stores. We all of these people that's in that part that got set up shop in the black community do not really mess with blacks. So it's okay to be a hypocrite.
How is that a hypocrite? Because you have a business. Green is green. Money is money.
Yeah, but and that's what I'm doing. I'm using green. I'm using my respirations to get back what I feel like our people have deserved.
Oh,
Right?
it's not that at all. All you're doing is taking care of your family.
But I put into this system, right?
Right.
23
So
years.
you can't even juxtapose those two, though, Jacob.
No. I actually I can. So
to juxtapose the Indians coming into the community.
If it's about green, that's if it's about green, that's what I'm receiving from them, right? And so, if I put in 23 years of service, I serviced this country for 23 plus years of working and paying into this system. Right. I actually don't believe that they're giving me something for free because
they're not. They're not.
It wasn't free because
absolutely.
I paid into that for over 23, close to 25 years.
Absolutely, you qualify. Yeah.
Right. So it's not like I came in the game like the illegal immigrants come in the game and getting all of these benefits without working a job not even a year long.
Right.
I put in 23 years of work.
Right.
So it won't be no different from a veteran who served the country, because I believe I served the country too. All of these businesses that need employees, that we give them a service. Every time you go to work, you serving this country. You serving their businesses. You keeping their business running, just like the military. They just in a different business, but it all correlates together. The military veterans serve, we serve. Unless we agreeing that we slaves, we supposed to do it for free.
Yeah.
Working a job for free. So so that's what I would say. When it comes to the benefits, yes. Go ahead, Ms. Lockhart.
Well, people, I just want to tell each and every one of you, thank you so very much for joining us today. It's been a while since we've done this, and I do want to tell each and every one of you how much I appreciate you. I also want to thank the superstars, Dovetail 55, for the blessing. Thank you so very much. And also the 18th letter. Thank you so very much. My favorite of the day, Mr. JM. I absolutely adore what you said. And thank you so much for participating and supporting the Black House. Thank you very much for that. And then one of my fantastic mods, Black Spring with Autumn, says parents and guardians are the first educators, protect their imagination and develop executive function in these times. Unbelievable. That says a lot. The first educators, meaning they learn things just by watching. Mom and dad, what are you showing them? Are you showing them how to be great citizens? Are you teaching them how to do the things that they need to do in these days and times? Let me know down below in the comment what you think about this. And we will see you guys very soon. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and give my friend some before we say adios. And I want you guys to remember one thing that I always say here. Please take care of yourself, because nobody else is going to do it at all. You'll look around and the room will be clear as soon as you hit a wall. But I want to tell you something. If you take care of yourself, then you can turn around and help somebody else. Because really, at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. You guys take care. Peace. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you